Americans get access to cutting-edge therapies for diseases like cancer and others nearly 2 years before other nations. And the future holds incredible promises for fighting diseases like Alzheimer's, NMS, and whatever strikes near you. The HHS proposal would cripple America's world-leading medical innovations. We would have fewer new cures, and they'd be harder to obtain. So we should control costs with market-based reforms by fostering competition, by making other countries pay their fair share. How about that? Not with socialist price control. So do this. Keep America great by keeping American medical innovation great. Do this now. Visit protectmypartb.org. Do it now. Paid for by Americans for tax reform.
Everybody needs vitamins, and children more so than adults. What if you could have your children's vitamins needs met at no cost to you? Barney's Pharmacy at 3108 West Central has just that offer, a children's vitamin program. You can sign your children up for free chewable multivitamins every 30 days at Barney's Pharmacy. Offer applies to any child age kindergarten through 12th grade. Barney's Pharmacy, looking out for you and our community's children.
Autocraft is proud to call Wichita home for 40 years. We are local and family owned. We believe using locally owned businesses is important to maintaining a healthy community. Local faces being there for you long after the job is done. Autocraft uses local suppliers whenever possible. Eco-friendly products, giving back to local charities, putting that extra smile on someone's face. Autocraft invites you to join us to keep it local. So let's work together to grow a strong and healthy community. Be sure to visit us at autocraftinc.com.
Is a Steckline communication station, K273CX, FM 102.5, and AM 1480 KQAM, Wichita proud. It's time for your latest news from the KQAM News Center. Brought to you by Continental Truck Accessories, 6701 South Broadway. Show your truck some love with Continental Truck Accessories.
I'm Stephanie Austin. The pumps that could possibly bring down the water table to relieve flooding in homes near Derby will not be turned on. Sedgwick County commissioners voted yesterday. Commissioner Michael O'Donnell requested that the city of Derby turn on one pump to help with the flooding, but after several motions for amendments, commissioners could not come to an agreement and voted it down. Commissioners will meet with residents and engineers in a private meeting today. A woman wanted for allegedly running over a Sedgwick County Sheriff's deputy's foot last month could spend almost 24 years in prison and owe up to a $300,000 fine. Melissa Heinzman made her first appearance in court yesterday on 3 felony charges related to a traffic stop last month. Cake News reports that bounty hunters working for her bond company found her in the basement of a home near Hydraulic and Marion Road on Tuesday. The injured deputy faces surgery on her ankle and then 12 weeks of recovery. Let's see what's going on in sports. Here's Doug Downs.
77 members of the media vote on the Big 12 preseason football poll, and all 77 of them picked the Wildcats and the Jayhawks to finish 9th and 10th in the preseason Big 12 poll. 9th is the worst K-State has been picked since the conference dropped to 10 teams back in 2011. The Jayhawks are expected to finish last under Les Miles in his first year in Lawrence. To no one's surprise, Patrick Mahomes took home the ESPY last night for the NFL's Best Player, an annual award show hosted by ESPN. From the KGSO Sports Desk, I'm Doug Downs.
Hi, this is Phil Martinez at Phil's Coins. At the shop, we talk all the time about honesty and integrity. And in our shop, we've decided that honesty means nothing without integrity. So what I would tell you is that if you didn't bring your coins to Phil's Coins, honestly, you didn't get enough money for what you have. Come see us at Phil's Coins, 9344 West Central, or online at philscoins.com.
It's Mary from Wildwood Cellars. We've won over 600 awards and titles for our wines, but the most important thing is we make wines that taste good. With over 40 to choose from, dries to sweets, meads made with honey, sangrias, and even a jalapeno wine, you'll find the wines you love at Wildwood Cellars, where you can try before you buy. The tastings are free at the northeast corner of Maple and Ridge Road in Wichita, or the main winery right next to the Mulvane Turnpike exit, or online at wildwoodcellars.com.
Summer is here, and Matt's got the barbecue out all ready to grill. That's why he trusts Super Poly Grip, so he can enjoy his steak with full confidence.
Poly Grip.
Sounds like there's a party going on, but something's missing. The birthday gal's arrived, and thanks to Polydent, her bright smile is anything but a surprise.
Polydent.
Now back to the KQAM News Desk.
A lot of rain on the way for portions of the Gulf Coast.
National Hurricane Center Director Ken Graham on what is now Tropical Storm Barry that could strike Louisiana and other states with heavy downpours and between 1 and 2 feet of rain. Meteorologist Chad Myers says the models indicate the storm will intensify.
It may get stronger. In fact, that's the forecast. All the way to a hurricane, to Category 1, about a 75-mile-per-hour storm Saturday night and maybe even into the afternoon hours by the time it would get the major effect for New Orleans.
A nationwide immigration enforcement operation targeting people in the United States illegally is expected to begin this weekend after it was postponed last month by President Trump. Armed Iranian boats unsuccessfully tried to seize a British oil tanker in the Persian Gulf today. The Iranians backed off when a British warship got involved. On Wall Street, the Dow is up strong this morning, about 180 points right now. I'm Mike Moss.
Market information, Mid-America Ag Network. Starting to see some pressure on corn, soybeans, and Kansas City wheats. Waiting on the World Ag Supply and Demand Estimates report from the USDA. September corn down 3/4 at 434 1/4. December's down 1 at 438 1/2. September Kansas City wheat is down 3 now at 438 1/2. Each of the later months is also lower. December down 3 1/4 at 459 1/4. August soybeans unchanged at 894 1/2. September unchanged at $9.25. Soybean meal and soybean oil are fractionally higher. We're looking at some mixed numbers in the livestock complex as well. August live cattle down 20 at 107.40. October down 17 at 108.80. Feeders are coming up. August feeders up a dime at 142.45. September up a dime at 142.95. So better news there. Hogs are still having some issues. July hogs down 1/4 at 71.50. August down 162 at 80.07. Market update, Mid-America Ag Network.
Your local weather on KQAM, brought to you by Jewelry Savers, conveniently located off K96 on Greenwich Road, the Kansas trusted jewelry source since 1971. Jewelry Savers.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KQAM. For this morning, sunny and clear, high near 87, clear and 67 tonight. Tomorrow, touch warmer, sunny and clear, 89 and 67 the extremes. For this weekend, sunny and clear, high around 92 or 93, low around 71 for both nights. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
At 11:06. It's currently 81 degrees.
Keeping political talk trendy. This is the Big Talker, 1480 AM and 102.5 FM KQAM. It's time for Reason.
That's the nature of the beast right now, so let's talk about conservatism, because we can win when we talk about the ideas. And people can't argue with it, because we win on platform when we actually argue the platform, rather than go into these rhetorical bumper sticker type arguments.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
It's been a long time coming. It's been a long time coming.
Hey, welcome into the Voice of Reason. Boy, oh boy. Victories left and right, baby. We are celebrating. We are doing the thing. It's great to have you along for the ride today, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas on the Big Talker, 1480 on the AM side, 102.5 on the FM side, KQAM, all over social media as well, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, all that good jazz. It's great to have you today. Boy, oh boy, we just got a major win, a major victory. The news hasn't really even covered it yet because it happened too quickly, but Governor Laura Kelly making her latest announcement.
And while my team believes the policy we put in place is legally defensible, we have determined that it isn't worth the cost to Kansas taxpayers to engage in a protracted court battle.
That audio sounds like garbage, but hey, you know what? We got it nonetheless. Governor Laura Kelly choosing not to pursue a lawsuit when it comes to the food stamp executive order of her wanting to extend those food stamps in the state of Kansas. That coming out just about a half hour ago, and it's over. It's done. She wants to now work with the legislature to try and reform the food stamp program and be able to extend the amount of time that individuals are going to be able to be on it. But the big announcement happening just a half hour ago, Governor Laura Kelly not wanting to pursue that legal action, not wanting to spend taxpayer money. So thank you for that one, as it's very blatant, very evident, very easy for us to see the rules and the laws on what's allowed, what's not allowed, what you can do as an executive, as the governor, and then what's out of your hands when it comes to the duties of the legislature. We're going to have Dan Hawkins jump back on the show with us here in about 20 minutes at the bottom of the hour to talk about this decision. I was shocked. I'm honestly a little shocked because this was a personal vendetta for her, something that she wanted back when they actually passed the 2015 HOPE Act, which she was not a fan of in any way, shape, or form. And now she wanted to try and reverse some of those agendas. She doesn't like the former governor. And I got to admit, and maybe you can admit this as well, even if you're on a bit of the other side of the aisle, even if you like her and if you're a Democrat or you're a more left-leaning individual, and maybe you do despise Brownback with a passion, have you honestly, be honest here, be honest with me, I'm honest with you, be honest with me, have you honestly, truly ever heard someone play the blame game so much as Governor Laura Kelly? Let's be honest here. I mean, we've heard the blame game before. Barack Obama used the blame game on George W. Bush for the economy. Donald Trump blamed the blame game on Barack Obama for the economy. I mean, the blame game's always there in politics, obviously, and even what we hear right now with the presidential candidates on the Democrat side, that the Trump economy is only working for a few and all this other stuff, which we disagree on, but they're using it. So, of course, they're playing the blame game because that's the way politics is. But we are 6-7 months into her administration now. We're 7 months into her administration, and every word out of her mouth, I mean, this is more than what Barack Obama had done with George W. Bush, and that was a lot. And I got annoyed with Barack Obama blaming George W. Bush all the time. But she takes this to a new level. I've never heard so much complaining and so much attacking and playing the blame game on Brownback. Literally every single word out of her mouth is the Brownback policy, the failed Brownback stuff, the Brownback this, Brownback that. I know it's a little hard to hear, but she went on. It was about a 5-minute speech. She took some Q&A, but it was about a 5-minute speech that she did, and she announced that she's not going to pursue the lawsuit, and then she continued to say that it was harmful to Kansans because of Brownback and Collier in the past administrations and the Republican-led legislature and the Republican agenda that doesn't want to take care of people. And then she tried to read some study going into like foster care, which we just talked to the judge yesterday, Judge Kevin Smith, about foster care. I'm not sure how the food stamps for individuals has anything to do with the foster care system. According to her, as that if you can't get food stamps and social programs, then people turn away their kids and give them to the foster care system. And it's all based on the fact that you can only get 3 months of food stamps. I'm not sure how there's any correlation there. I'm not sure how you link those two, but okay. I mean, she's desperate. She is bitter. She took a major loss today. And it's one that she didn't anticipate to actually happen. She did not see this attack coming from her, and now she's trying to say that because you can only get 3 months of food stamps in an economy that's growing and that's doing well nationally. Now, Kansas, we're struggling just a little bit, but we're still seeing jobs. There's still job opportunities. But because you can only get 3 months of food stamps, that has increased the number of kids in foster care. I don't know how you tie those two together. Please explain to me how you can, just because you don't get more than 3 months of food stamps, now all of a sudden there's going to be an increase in kids in foster care. That's weird to me. But she did go down that road, and then, of course, she blamed Brownback and everybody else.
Today, I am reaffirming my promise to Kansans that we will work with the legislature to reform the destructive Brownback-Collier HOPE Act, to remove the parts that damage our communities, and instead refocus our agencies to move toward policies that encourage work, health, and well-being among all Kansans.
There you go. We re-invite ourselves and we re-ensure that we're going to work to repeal the Brownback and Collier policies of this evil thing. So good for her. And then she goes on to talk about the GOP. I did find out, I'm going to try to play one more clip. I know it's a little hard to hear, but I do want to play one more because I thought it was hysterical. That, again, doesn't quite grasp the executive powers, doesn't quite grasp what she's allowed and not allowed to do, and therefore she says that it's not because of constitutional limitations on her office on why should be allowed to use this executive order to repeal state law, but it's just because the Attorney General is just really mean.
In spite of the sad fallout, the Attorney General recently sent us notice of his plan to seek legal action if we didn't reverse the policy change on food assistance that clearly helped many Kansans. How unfortunate that the Attorney General saw fit to embrace such a mean-spirited position rather than acknowledge the good we were trying to achieve in helping those less fortunate.
Oh, man. She doesn't get it, does she? That's hilarious. It's hysterical. But instead, the Attorney General embraced the mean-spirited idea instead of understanding what we're trying to do here. When we're just trying to help people. Remember, it's the sob story. It's all about the sob story. We're trying to help people, and therefore whatever means necessary, right? Whatever means necessary, we should have the right to do it. It's just helping people, and therefore we should give full power. I think that's how Rome went from a republic to an emperor, didn't it? Something like that. During times of war, they put the one person in power, and therefore the one person in power can lead during the charge of war. So their idea was, why not just have war all the time so we can have the emperor just running everything? And the republic's essentially irrelevant. We don't need that. We're just trying to help people. Just trying to do our thing. I mean, that's what she's saying. That's literally what she just said right there. To hell with the executive power limitations. To hell with the constitutional limitations on what I can do than a law that was passed by the legislature, approved by the Supreme Court, signed by the governor in 2015. I'm going to use executive orders to repeal that. And when they tell me no, then it's not because it's against the law, but because I'm just trying to help people and you don't want to help people. Wow. Wow. 316-721-8255. Welcome into the show. We got a big show for you today. It's going to be a fun one. As we mentioned, Dan Hawkins, which kudos to him because he started this. He's the one that stood up and said, no, this is not right. We're going to fight this. We're going to look at the limitations here. I think this is against the law. He's the one that started the attorneys to start investigating this. The investigation led to the Attorney General. The Attorney General looked at this and said, yeah, no, we're not going to fly. So kudos to Dan Hawkins, House Majority Leader. This is why elections are good and why elections can have consequences in a positive way. When we have individuals like that are in leadership, when we have individuals like this that are actually fighting and we know what's right and we know what we need to do and we actually want to fight the good fight, this is how we do it. So Dan Hawkins, solid performance, my friend. Well done on that one. And, let me try that again. Solid performance, my friend.
Winning.
Hey, there we go. And we can continue on and fight in the good fight, and that's one battle that we did win. So we can check that one off as we have been able to uphold somewhat constitutionalism in the state of Kansas, and we were able to continue on doing what needs to be done by stopping an abuse of power by the governor's office when even the media agreed. I mean, you know you're in that level when the media even agrees with you and says, yeah, I like what she's doing because we don't like the Hope Act. It's evil that you actually have to work like 20 hours a week in order to receive food stamps. Shouldn't be allowed. Shouldn't be allowed to. Shouldn't have to do that. Should be able to sit and absolutely do zero in order to receive that. No, by the way, receiving it for 3 full months is not enough, or else the foster care rate will double. So they agree with that mindset, but they did agree and say, well, but if the tables were turned, did we really want the governor on a Republican side to repeal law that we tried to pass this way? This is not the way to do it. So, the governor needs to work with the legislature. Now, that's going to be the challenge, is that she's going to come to the Republican-led legislature and say, we need to reform this. And they're going to say, yeah, thanks, but no. And then she's going to get angry, and it's not going to happen. So she realizes she had a defeat here. She recognizes that, which is why it was all the blame game. Well, Brownback was evil and he doesn't care about children. Collier continued to do the same thing. The AG's just doing it in a mean spirit because I can't believe he was so angry. So angry. Can't believe he did that. And it's all the blame game. Instead of saying, you know what? We shouldn't have done it this way. Our bad. We'll work in the legislature and we'll try and reform the way we can because this is the agenda that I want to have. And as we're turning the tide in Kansas, then we'll try and turn the tide in this direction at some point when we get the opportunity to do so. And she could have used this as an opportunity, by the way, to say, you know what, there's an election next year. Try and elect more Democrats in the legislature so we can start reforming this. I mean, she missed a boat here, didn't she? She missed a huge opportunity. She could have talked about the election in 2020 and said, this is what we're going to focus on in order to change things in Kansas as we continue on with our direction and yada, yada, yada. We need to get more Democrats in the legislature. We need to get rid of the supermajority of the Republicans, and we need to actually promote this type of agenda. She didn't do that. She missed a political boat on that one, at least from what I could see. 316-721-8255. Coming up on the show, as we mentioned, Dan Hawkins in about 10 minutes. We'll cover some of this a little bit more with him and his take on it as a big victory for him and the Republicans and Kansans all out, really. Coming up in the 1 o'clock hour, we have Akeem Ashford. He's with the VA here in Wichita, and they're going to be talking about the Mission Act and urgent care benefits. So if you're part of the VA, if you're a veteran, you get VA benefits. This is going to affect you because of the Mission Act that was recently passed and urgent care benefits that you're going to be able to receive and some of the changes there. So we'll talk about that with, he's going to be in studio with us at 1 o'clock and looking forward to that one. We have also an opinion piece that talks about the comeback of the state of Kansas and the comeback of the economy in Kansas after a surplus ending of the session this year and the fiscal year that we have in Kansas, that apparently we're coming back because of one term of Governor Laura Kelly. Is that true? Or, as we talked about a few days ago, is it really a false number of actually celebrating to continue and think that we're growing? So I do want to touch on that here in a little bit as well. Plus, we have a rumor that ICE raids are going to be happening starting Sunday across the nation, and I'm wondering how that could affect us here in Kansas, and are there going to be any ICE raids here in the Wichita or South Central Kansas region as that finally, it's about time we started doing the ICE raids across the nation to round up illegal immigrants and sending them back. So we'll see how well that goes, but after a 2-week delay in President Donald Trump wanting to negotiate on an immigration bill, then which didn't happen except for a humanitarian relief bill, which is a ridiculous bill. And we will get, by the way, Congressman Ron Estes on the show on Monday next week to talk about that bill as well with some of the votes. But with all of that happening, we are doing the ICE raids beginning this Sunday, according to Fox News and President Donald Trump, and we'll see how well those actually fly. And, of course, AOC that actually wants to dismantle the Department of Homeland Security. Cute. That's nice. So we'll get your thoughts on that as well. So lots of stuff going on. It's a big show today. It's going to be fun as we celebrate our big victory here in the state of Kansas, being able to actually uphold constitutionality and limitation of powers. Well done on that front. Let's continue when we come back here on The Voice of Reason for a Thursday.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier on the Big Talker, KQAM.
In Oklahoma City the other day, a mom's Jeep Grand Cherokee exploded in flames. Fire officials say her iPhone overheated when it was charging the car's USB port. Kim Commander with your Thursday Consumer Tech Update. Get more know-how with our free tech newsletters delivered from me to your email daily. Sign up today at commando.com. Fortunately for Mom Jabrisha Pratt, her SUV was empty when her iPhone exploded in flames, and the windows weren't cracked either. But what happened? One thing to know is that the battery in her iPhone wasn't the original battery. It was a replacement that she ordered from a third-party seller on Amazon. And coincidentally, they pulled the battery from their list of available items. You want Apple to replace your battery, period. And only use the charger that came with your device. That's because some third-party chargers have a higher than recommended voltage, which can lead to overcharging and possibly pose a fire risk. So while Apple products may be more expensive, it's definitely worth it. I'm Kim Commando. When you're hiring, you don't want to waste time sorting through dozens of irrelevant resumes. You want an efficient way to get to a short list of qualified candidates. You need Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes. Set up screener questions based on your job requirements. Then zero in on qualified candidates using an intuitive online dashboard. Discover why 3 million businesses use Indeed.com for hiring. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire. Search for greatness. Search Indeed.
You make a million tough business decisions every day. So here's the easiest one of the year. Dell's Black Friday in July is back and bigger than ever. Get no-brainer deals on the very latest computers with Intel Core processors and a huge selection of servers, electronics, and more. All with free shipping on everything. To make your decision even easier, Dell's small business technology advisors can help you find just the right tech. Call 877-BUY-DELL. That's an easy call to make at 877-BUY-DELL or visit Dell.com/smallbusiness.
is Mark Walters. Join me for Armed American Radio every weeknight for your hour of daily defense. We talk everything guns, Second Amendment, helping protect your right to own and carry a firearm, and more. Also, make sure to catch Armed American Radio live every Sunday evening, 7 to 10. It's what you need to know to protect your right to defend yourself. It's Armed American Radio, and it's right here on the Big Talker, 1480 AM and 1025 FM, KQAM.
Armed American Radio on the Big Talker, KQAM.
It's finally time to get out and enjoy the weather, and there's no better way than in your very own swimming pool from Shocker Pools. Shocker Pools has been providing fun in backyards in and around Wichita for years, and they can design a pool to fit your backyard and budget. Get online at shockerpools.com, check out their gallery, then give them a call to discuss how a new pool can be a part of your home. If you already have a pool and are looking for chemicals, pool toys, or anything that can enhance your summer fun, stop by Shocker Pools today, just north of Central on Webb Road. If a hot tub's more your style, see their selection of Dimension 1 hot tubs, only at Shocker Pools.
This moment of peacefulness is brought to you by Rusty Eck Ford.
Price sells cars at Rusty Eck Ford. Now at Rusty Eck, you can get a discount of $2,000 off every Ford F-150 in stock, and you keep the rebates up to over $6,200. That's over $8,200 in discounts and rebates. Plus, we'll throw in a new Green Mountain Grill with built-in Wi-Fi when you buy.
Save thousands on an F-150 and get a Green Mountain Grill? You bet. Your choice of a Davy Crockett smoker or a Daniel Boone smoker for your summer fun. And don't forget about our award-winning service. See what's going on at rustyeckford.com.
All rebates to dealer cannot be combined, plus tax and fees. Discounts from MSRP offer expires 7/30/19.
Hey, it's Brian Kilmeade. Join me weekdays at 8 a.m. right here on the Big Talker, KQAM.
You know, these kinds of things get me excited. I get a little anxious. I get a little excited. I get a little pumped up when I hear about, especially like this, when we have a right decision. It's so frustrating because we hear so many negative decisions coming out of government in so many phases, from the Attorney General to the Supreme Court to the legislature to the governor to whatever. It's so frustrating at times when we lose so many cases. The fact finally actually win one is kind of nice. So this is a big win for us when it comes to, I mean, whether you agree or disagree with the idea of only capping food stamps for 3 months and how much you can actually receive and whatever the policy may be, fight to change it. Change it, but change it the right way. Don't just say we're going to take unilateral power and we're going to do it on our own, and if you don't like that, then oh well, because you hate children. That's really where politics has come today, and unfortunately that's happened a little bit on both ends of the aisle, hasn't it? But that's really what it's come down to, is that we want change, so therefore we're going to ram it through, and if you don't like it, then oh well, and we're going to do it our own way, because, you know, it's been done like that for years. I mean, look at the presidency, where we have executive order after executive order after executive order. When we go round and round at times about the role of government, and the government, is it truly representing the people? At the federal level, I say absolutely not. It's not representing the people, because Congress themselves actually have very little that they're actually doing anymore. 60% of what their duty was is actually being handled by agencies and departments that have shifted from the legislative branch to the executive branch of government, to where they can write a bill, send it to the president, they sign the executive order, and boom, now it's law. That's not the way things were done. When the budget at the federal level is 60 to 80% on autopilot, and we're not looking at the funding of every little tiny agency in every little tiny funding project, and we're not looking at the 60% of the beefy bit of the actual federal budget where it's social programs, and we don't debate on how to fund it, and we don't try and cut back, but we just let it sit on autopilot and grow every year, then you're not doing your job, and you're not representing us. Look at it. Discuss it. Reform it every single year. Andy, that's so tough. That's why you're making the money you do, and you're representing a number of people. That's why being a government official is a very difficult thing. Then you get like the AOCs that are just like, I'm so tired, and I work so hard, and I think they're trying to silence me because I don't think this job's supposed to be about like actually like going to committees and doing stuff. I think it's supposed to be about like social media and like talking to people and like being a celebrity, and oh my gosh. because that's what they think. And that's what they're trying to do now. It's all about the reelection and all about trying to be the PR rather than doing your job. At the state level, we do have obviously more transparency and more accountability, which is nice. And that's what we're supposed to have. So when something like this comes up, this should have been big deal. Everybody was talking about, wait a second, can the governor really do this? Is it really a good idea? Well, I agree with what she wants to do. Okay, that is. It's the right way to actually make it happen. Well, yeah, because if you don't, then you hate children. Boy, oh boy. That's kind of fun. Then you have, as we mentioned, like AOC, where she wants to get rid of the entire Department of Homeland Security. I want to talk about that next hour because the whole purpose of it for her is because ICE is under the Department of Homeland Security when it comes to who has the authority over each other. So because of that, she wants to get rid of Department of Homeland Security. Now, here's the controversial part that I'm going to say today. I'm open to getting rid of the DHS because we've had security agencies long before DHS, and that is one purpose of the government. But as a conservative who wants limited government, that came about only after 2001, after the 9/11 attacks. And is that really what's helping us, or do we have other safety and security measures in place in other agencies, the FBI, the CIA, other agencies that can actually help with the security of the nation without DHS? The DHS was very controversial at the time because of the Patriot Act. And the Patriot Act allowing more security control from elected officials to be able to tap into your phones, be able to monitor your emails, be able to do some things that even on conservative ends were very controversial. So did the blind squirrel maybe find a nut? Or is she just completely wrong on this one? Now, I want ICE to remain, and ICE needs to remain because immigration and custom enforcement is kind of a common sense thing that we need to have, but maybe it be underneath a different agency rather than the Department of Homeland Security. But maybe there's different ways we can handle some of this, or maybe DHS is actually the best way to go right now. So I do want to have that conversation later on in the show because that is an important one as well. But the abolishing of DHS, it'd be nice if people talked about abolishing like unnecessary and unconstitutional agencies like, I don't know, Environmental Protection Agency, Department of Energy, Department of Housing and Urban Development, Department of everything else that happens up there. Bottom of the hour news coming up when we come back. Dan Hawkins, House Majority Leader, wrapping up when we talk about this executive power and the food stamps and the man himself that was able to start the ball rolling to get this stopped and stop her dead in her tracks with an executive order that was against state law. We'll do that when we come back. Stay here.
Here's the latest from the KQAM News Center.
Pray that the president will think about this.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is calling on the president to reconsider immigration raids this Sunday, targeting those in the country illegally.
Everyone in our country has rights. Many of these families are mixed status families.
The president's expected to lay out his strategy later today to get a citizenship question included on the 2020 census. St. Bernard Parish, Louisiana President Guy McGinnis is urging residents near New Orleans to be ready for bad weather.
Heavy rainfall is anticipated for late Friday, Saturday, and into Sunday.
Now, Tropical Storm Barry is expected to become a hurricane this weekend, bringing heavy rain to several Gulf Coast states. The Army general nominated to be the next chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Mark Milley, says pulling American troops out of Afghanistan prematurely would be a major mistake. On Wall Street, the Dow up about 200. I'm Mike Moss.
At Walgreens, we know that your day doesn't stop for diabetes. So when you've got places to go and people to see, count on Walgreens every day to get expert diabetes advice 24/7. Find all major brands of testing supplies like Walgreens True Metrics in-store and online. And download tools to help you stay on track, like our 5-star mobile app with Pill Reminder. At Walgreens, we are your diabetes go-to. Stop by and talk to your pharmacist today. Walgreens, trusted since 1901.
The Home Depot has new lower prices on Traffic Master laminate flooring from just 49 cents a square foot. Beautiful wood-look floors that'll stand the test of time. And teenagers and their friends. With Traffic Master, you'll rest easy knowing your floors can take whatever life dishes out. Even easier, knowing nobody beats our prices, guaranteed. Today is the day for doing the Traffic Master laminate flooring from just 49 cents a square foot. Available exclusively at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. U.S. only. See warranty for details.
My friend. Mid-America Network News.
The police chief in Kansas City, Kansas, plans to retire September 11th after 4.5 years on the job, amid questions about his conduct and a lawsuit over an officer's alleged sexual assault. Chief Terry Ziegler announced his plans on social media yesterday. The Kansas Bureau of Investigation this year examined whether Ziegler double-dipped by taking time off to work on a house that he leased from the local government. A state court judge is declining to give a Kansas clinic permission to provide telemedicine abortions. Shawnee County District Judge Teresa Watson this week rejected a request from the Trust Women Foundation to block Kansas from prohibiting telemedicine abortions. Trust Women operates a Wichita clinic that in October began providing pregnancy-ending medications to patients who communicated with off-site doctors by webcam. The clinic later stopped because of the uncertain legal climate. I'm Stephanie Austin.
Hi, I'm Carrie Davis. Happy to tell you about the opening of Carrie Davis Liquor.
I am Brian Davis, and for over 40 years, Davis Liquor Outlet of Wichita has been proud to provide you the best value for your dollar.
Before school classes go back into session this year, the doors will be open at Carrie Davis Liquor Outlet at Kellogg and Tyler.
You know, the building that used to house Vanderbilt's just west of Midwest Kia.
Be watching and listening for our grand opening announcement.
We are currently accepting applications. Apply online at davisliquoroutlet.com. Each store independently owned and operated, excludes 31st and Meridian.
Hail.
Ouch. Oh.
Wind. Freezing temperatures. Tornadoes. That's mayhem.
Hi, I'm Mark Collier, your local Allstate agent. We're your insurance agency interested in doing what's best for you. Before mayhem strikes, call us at our Goddard office, 316-413-4014, and find us on Facebook at Collier Allstate. Are you in good hands?
It's that time of year when the grill is always the best cooking option, so stop by your favorite Yoder Meats location to pick up some great meat for the grill. Steaks, chops, burgers, brats, marinated chicken, we've got it all, plus a nice variety of specialty items that you won't find anywhere else. Our Yoder Meats bundles and butcher bags are great options for buying in bulk and saving, and for a special treat, how about our homemade cinnamon rolls, cakes, and cookies? Don't forget the snack sticks for a quick bite on the go. Follow us on Facebook for all the latest information and specials. Taste the old-fashioned flavor at Yoder Meats in Yoder and 3 locations in Wichita.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KQAM. For this morning, sunny and clear, high near 87, clear and 67 tonight. Tomorrow, touch warmer, sunny and clear, 89 and 67 the extremes. For this weekend, sunny and clear, high around 92 or 93, low around 71 for both nights. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
At 11:35, it's currently 82 degrees.
Hey, it's Joe Pags. Join me live today at 5. Now back to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier on the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM, KQAM.
Waking up the right way.
I look forward to listening to you every morning when I get ready for work.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Well, you can listen in the morning, you can listen in the evening, you can listen all day long as we rock in every day right here on the Voice of Reason. And now especially live with your middle of the day, and you can keep it going as you get your lunch break. You try and start like nodding off at work. I get it, I know, especially after a long week like this, and you can keep it going right here on the show. Welcome in. Great to have you today for the ride. 316-721-8255. 316-721-TALK. The big news of the day that happened just about an hour ago is Governor Laura Kelly.
And while my team believes the policy we put in place is legally defensible, we have determined that it isn't worth the cost to Kansas taxpayers to engage in a protracted court battle.
It's not worth the cost to Kansas taxpayers to fight the legal battle on the food stamps, the executive order that she had signed. And it's all thanks to this man right here who started this, that said, ain't going to fly. We're not going to allow this to happen because you are violating the law from the 2015 HOPE Act. And it's our very own House Majority Leader from District 100, State House Representative Dan Hawkins. Dan, congratulations on the victory, my friend. I am shocked and awed that she actually backed down on this one.
Andy, thanks a lot for having me on today. Quite frankly, I was a little surprised, too, because she seemed to not want to back down all the way through. And then when she came out today and decided that she wasn't going to, continue the fight, I think it proves that we had, number one, a very, very good case. Our case and our research from back in 2015 when that law was enacted was truly damning for her case. And in fact, the governor, then Senator Laura Kelly, fought for hours on the floor of the Senate to remove all of that language that she is now trying to skirt. So our case was very well put together. The AG would not have sent that demand letter on Monday if he wouldn't have felt like the case was winnable in court. So we were pretty confident, but I was also confident that she wasn't going to back down. It was kind of amazing to me, Andy, how she immediately pivoted, trying to make the discussion about everything but the fact that she was violating the law. She started her whole thing about, helping poor people. Well, that's what the HOPE Act is all about, is helping poor people, because we know from a fact it's a successful program that has literally gotten thousands of people back to work and off of the need to have government help them out with a little bit of food stamps. So it's working. It's working excellent.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. And I did laugh because let me ask you this. First off, I've never, and even this is, I get it. The blame game happens in politics. Obama blamed Bush for the economy then. Trump blamed Obama for the economy then. The Democrats now are blaming Trump for the economy now that only helps some people. Blame game's part of it, but I've never, ever, I don't think, heard the blame game used so much in her administration. Everything that's happening is about the failed Brownback policy, the failed Brownback administration, the failed GOP administration, the failed Brownback this. And that's exactly what she went to, is that the harmful Brownback-Collier administration that signed this HOPE Act and the Republican-led legislature that really doesn't care about children and the needy families and all this other garbage, I've never heard so much pandering to a blame game in my entire life in politics. Have you?
No, and actually it started out, Andy, with the very start of her administration. If you remember back during the State of the State, one of her comments was it was her job to rebuild Kansas from the failed Brownback experiment. And that's just ridiculous. When you look at all of the good things that we did in these last years, these last 8 years, 9 years now, it's proven to actually be a huge success. This HOPE Act has done things that having people on government assistance will never do. People don't realize that being on government assistance, you become almost entrenched into a life of poverty. That's not what we want. We want people to be out of poverty, and we're truly in a time right now where we have record low unemployment. Actually, we're at full employment, thousands of jobs out there, and for her to look at this and say, we need this, we need to give these people extra instead of getting them back to work, there's jobs out there. The other thing she's saying is that this is all about the children. No, this policy was about able-bodied adults that could be working, childless adults, childless.
Right.
The word there, childless. But she keeps trying to pivot it into something else, and it's not. It's truly not what she's trying to do.
Well, yeah, she twisted that one. I did not. It was a 5-minute speech, and I was lost on that one because she had mentioned something too. She tried to tie in foster care, and I don't know, Dan. Let me ask you this: if you don't get more than 3 months worth of food stamps, are your children all of a sudden we're going to have a doubled rate of the kids in foster care in the state? I don't get how she tried to link this one together. That didn't make any sense to me.
Well, they always try to pivot to other points instead of staying on task. The task is we have a statute. It's up to her and it's up to I to follow those statutes. She chose not to follow the statute, so I felt that it was my duty to call her on it and to get her back on task and to follow the statute. All ended up well. Today was a good day because certainly the rule of law was upheld, and by the way, I want to give kudos to Attorney General Derek Schmidt. He spent a lot of time making sure that we had a good case. He really vetted that before he put his letter out. So I want everybody to give him, his just due, because he truly did a lot of work making sure that we were correct, and then he did what he can do, and that is defend our statutes
Right.
in the state of Kansas, and that's exactly what he did today.
Oh, come on, Dan. He was just mean-spirited, according to Governor Laura Kelly. Instead of looking at the reasons on why, I mean, can't you just see what we're trying to do here? I mean, let me ask you, I mean, does that justify it just because we have our hearts in the right place and we want to do the right thing, therefore, to hell with the process and the constitutionality and what our limitation of power is, we just have the full right to do it, and you can't question us on that. You're just mean-spirited trying to block me from doing this. I mean, that's what she said about the Attorney General today.
No, that's true. That's absolutely true. She did, and she thinks we're all mean-spirited. And in fact, globally, especially in the United States, we talk about a couple of wars: war on drugs and war on poverty. Both of those we have lost that battle because the government war on poverty doesn't work. What works is getting people back to work and getting them to be sustainable on government. Mm-hmm. So truly this idea that the government is there, we're there as a safety net, and that's what the HOPE Act is. It's a safety net to help them in a period of time until they can get back to work. And that's 3 months. And today 3 months, if you don't have a job in 3 months, you probably don't want a job.
Sure.
So we want people to get back to work. We want them to do well. We want them to thrive. We don't want them to just survive. We want people to thrive. And we have an economy today that will allow that to happen.
Yeah.
We have record unemployment. People can have jobs. It's amazing that she doesn't really care about that. She wants to keep them on the government assistance for a huge length of time. Makes no sense at all.
No, it really doesn't. Moving forward now that she said she's making the pledge now that she's going to try and do the reform and work with the legislature to try and do this in the next session, do you think she's going to bring it up? Was just the talk just to try and let the issue kind of rest and lay and go away? Or do you think that she's going to come to you in the next session and say, hey, let's have a conversation about this? The problem is, though, is that many of the Republicans that voted for the HOPE Act in 2015 are still there. We still have a Republican majority in both chambers. So even if she did try it, I don't know if it's going to go anywhere.
No, I don't think so. I do think she will. I think she'll probably have some of her people bring a bill. A lot of times bills come out of agencies. I'm sure that the DCF, the Department of Children and Families, will bring a bill to try to change that. It's not going to, you're absolutely right, it's not going to change because we still have a lot of the same people here who believe what I believe, and that is that we want to help people get out of poverty, not stay in poverty. When you just keep lengthening the time for somebody to get assistance, you allow them to stay in poverty instead of moving out of poverty. We want people out of poverty.
Absolutely.
So that's not going to change. I don't think you'll find a whole lot of support in the legislature for that. There will be some support, but it's not going to be widespread. So I think she's got a pretty difficult road to hoe if she thinks she's going to do away with the work requirement. And quite frankly, Kansans believe that we need work requirement. If I haven't seen any polling lately, but if you poll people in Kansas, they believe people need to work also.
Sure.
So her message of keeping people on assistance is not going to work.
No.
It's not going to be embraced by Kansans. Kansans believe we have a work ethic here in Kansas.
Well, we do.
Kansas actually has an awesome work ethic, and that's the reason why some companies come to Kansas, because they know people want to work in Kansas.
Well, you're right. You're absolutely right. We work hard in here, and I mean, in the past governorships and past administrations, Governor Brownback and Governor Collier, they did an amazing job putting together the workforce task. I mean, I saw the websites, and I saw how you can see the different jobs in the state, and you can work on trying to get yourself a job and how they post the jobs and how they can help you find jobs. I mean, we're doing great initiatives to build it up. I mean, when Governor Brownback left office, if you want to talk about the children for a second, I mean, we're praising Governor Brownback in the Republican legislature and the fact that we had less kids on or under the poverty line than what we had in a really long time, and kids were rising out of poverty and people were getting the jobs and things were actually happening. So we had that success. So now for us to say all of a sudden that we can't have people only on food stamps for 3 months or else the foster care rate's going to double and everybody's struggling. I mean, if anybody's half paying attention to that, they realize it's not true.
You are absolutely correct. And it's not true. If people will just do a little research and they'll go out and look at the poverty rate, look at all of those different metrics, they will see that the policies that were put in place are working, and they're working fabulously. So we just need to continue doing that and keep pulling people up out of poverty, get them up to where they're taking care of themselves.
There it is.
Absolutely.
Dan Hawkins, House Majority Leader. I love it. Well, it's going to be a discussion. Another thing to tag on to what you get to do next year for the legislative session for sure. Real quick before you go, I want to ask you about another issue that's been in the news too, briefly, and that's with the Supreme Court Justice Lee Johnson that's going to be retiring next month. I know that I know that Ty Masterson on the Senate side had talked about the constitutional amendment trying to bring back the Senate to do some type of oversight and having normal process for nominating Supreme Court justices. With the announcement now, is there going to be a new battle, you think, between the Governor Kelly nominating somebody into that seat before that change or that vote possibly happens? Or is there a possibility the legislature can hold off the governor from nominating somebody until we go through this process and see if that's the kind of process we want to have in the state?
Well, right now, so the statute, actually not the statute, but the Constitution. So on the Supreme Court, the Constitution states that there's this nominating commission. It's based on a Missouri law, or actually their method, Missouri method of choosing Supreme Court justices. So it's a constitutional amendment, and right now she's going to have the ability to go on ahead and nominate based on that current model this Supreme Court justice. I would bet that we will see many, not just one, but we'll see many Supreme Court justices retire before we can change it, simply because they know now's the time for them to do it, while they have a Democrat governor that will place more progressives into the to the Supreme Court. So we're going to have a fight on our hands, but the good thing, Andy, is I think that the public is starting to see, especially from all of the different opinions that the Supreme Court has handed down just in the last year, that we've got a flawed model. We need to get to the point where we have that Senate oversight, and basically it's Senate confirmation. We have it on the appellate court. Currently, the appellate court, the governor nominates and the Senate confirms, and we had a fight on that already. And of course, there was an appellate nominee that did not make it through the process because of that. We need to get that. We need to get that to the Supreme Court. But to do that, we're going to have a constitutional amendment. That'll be a big lift, because we've got several of those in this next session coming up. Of course, we have the abortion issue that we're going to have to deal with. Now the death penalty is being attacked as not constitutional, so we'll probably see that come. It's just been a whole litany of Supreme Court opinions that I think people are starting to see that it's just not a good system that we have. So we'll continue to work on that, and I think that will be certainly a huge issue in this next session.
Boy, you guys are going to have your hands full for sure.
We will.
Yeah, we will. Session. So I love it. Well, today we can celebrate, though, Dan Hawkins, House Majority Leader. Congratulations. Again, you're the one that started this questioning of her motive here and the legality of her executive order. So a big victory for you, and we thank you for what you've done on this, because this is really, again, I'm a dork like this. I love seeing the governmental process, the checks and balance system actually come into play, and this is a perfect day for us to actually see that with her backing down on this. So congratulations, my friend.
Thanks, Andy.
Hey, it's a pleasure. We'll get you on the show again here real soon. Got to take a break. 9 minutes at the top of the hour. This is The Voice of Reason on a Thursday. Big stuff going on, baby. Stay here.
You're listening to The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier on the Big Talker, KQAM.
Market information, Mid-America Ag Network. Well, the World Ag Supply and Demand Estimates report apparently, at least initially, friendly for corn, Kansas City wheat, and soybeans, because we're seeing a bit of a bounce in those areas. Soybeans might be the exception because the numbers aren't quite so rosy there, but for the most part, things are holding their own, maybe even inching up a bit. September corn up a half at 435.5. December's up a quarter at 439 3/4. Kansas City wheat's taking a big jump. September KC wheat up 12 at 453.5. December up 11.5 at 474. Keep in mind the numbers are still being digested, but initially things looking pretty good and very friendly for corn and wheat. So we'll see if that holds as we continue to look over the numbers. August soybeans up a quarter at 8.94 3/4. Most of the later months are up by fractions like that, but still in positive territory. July soybean meal up $1.60 at 310.70. August up 90 cents at 311.60. August soybean oil is 7 points higher at 28.16. September is up 9 points, make that 8 points now at to 28.28. So some nice upward movement for corn, soybeans, Kansas City wheat. After the World Ag Supply and Demand Estimates report. Let's take a look at some livestock numbers mixed there. August live cattle down a dime at 107.52. October up 2 cents at 109 even. So mixed numbers in fat cattle. August feeders up 32, 142.67. September up 30 at 143.15. Later months are all green with feeder cattle, so continue to look good there. Hogs, after having a couple of good days, are not having a good day today. July hogs down 30 at 71.45. August hogs down 177 at 79.95. So cattle are mixed, mostly higher. Hogs are tracking a bit lower here in the middle part of the day. On Thursday, October cotton down 32 points at 63.22. Mixed numbers in the ag futures. Market update, Mid-America Ag Network.
Price sells cars at Rusty Eck Ford. And with our great financing offers, it's like we have a bank in our back pocket to help you get into a new car, truck, or SUV. So if you have good credit, bad credit, no credit, or a discharge bankruptcy, that's okay. If you have a job and make at least $1,400 a month, we can help you get a fresh start at Rusty Eck Ford, where price sells cars.
And we understand sometimes bad things happen to good people. Come to Rusty Eck Ford and let us help you get a fresh start on your credit.
And now, this moment of quiet calm, brought to you by Rusty Eck Ford.
You make a million tough business decisions every day. So here's the easiest one of the year. Dell's Black Friday in July is back and bigger than ever. Get no-brainer deals on the very latest computers with Intel Core processors and a huge selection of servers, electronics, and more. All with free shipping on everything. To make your decision even easier, Dell's small business technology advisors can help you find just the right tech. Call 877-BUY-DELL. That's an easy call to make at 877-BUY-DELL or visit Dell.com/smallbusiness.
Catch the latest news with Stephanie Austin right here on the Big Talker, 1480 AM and 102.5 FM, KQAM.
Top of the hour, wrapping up hour number one already here on The Voice of Reason. Thanks again to Dan Hawkins, House Majority Leader, coming on the program. We appreciate that very much. And I love the short notice on there when we can get him on the show and talk about it. The man himself that started this whole thing when it came to stopping a ridiculous, out-of-control agenda from a out-of-control administration. So, big victory on us for that one. And we can say...
We did it! We did it! We did it!
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about. 316-721-8255. Hour number two, I want to talk a little bit about that Supreme Court because it is important. We chatted about it yesterday a little bit, but Dan is absolutely right. Dan Hawkins is right, is that are we going to see more Supreme Court justices stepping aside and retiring, as now this is the conversation to have of we want to have a senatorial oversight when it comes to the Supreme Court nominees, and will we, if we get, here's the thing, it's going to have to go through, but it's going to go through and it's going to take some time. We have to have the legislature vote on it to put it on onto the ballot for you and I to vote on, which means they're going to do it in the session. Then we'll vote on it in November probably, which means we have a whole nother year until we actually get this. And then if it comes true, then it starts to take place. But until then, we have a year, which means we have a year until many of the Supreme Court justices can say, well, I think I'm going to retire. We're going to go through the normal process right now, load up the courts, so that way when we do have the process, it's not going to take effect for another, 10, 15 years. because then we don't have to worry about any Supreme Court justices actually stepping down. We do have retention votes, and that's something that we can look at if we don't retain certain justices. Lee Johnson, the one that's retiring in September, he is one that would have been up for retention in November of next year, but, he's not going to now. So we do have the retention votes. Very difficult to not retain somebody, as you know, because we tried that in the last election. It didn't work very well. We tried. We got a little sort of close, but didn't actually happen. So we'll talk a little bit deeper about that coming up in next hour. And we had a call right at the end of the show yesterday saying, Andy, if this was any other administration and a Republican or Brownback or Kobach or somebody, would you still support the same concept? Yes, I would. Absolutely, I would, because this is very important, and even Brownback put up some not-so-great candidates onto the Supreme Court because, again, their choices as a governor are limited. It's the Bar Association that gets that nomination process, the hype up, and gets 3 candidates, and then the governor gets to choose from those 3. So regardless whether it's a Republican or Democrat, their hands are still tied based on crappy option A, B, or C. I don't want that anymore. I want to go back to a normal process where the governor gets to choose anybody they like, and then the Senate gets to oversee, gets to do the interviewing, gets to do the voting, and then confirms them and moves them up. That is the process of a checks and balance system. That's what I want to advocate for, regardless of what governor's in office. I don't care. Doesn't really matter. Now, in regards to the current situation with one stepping down and how many and whether we get to block this one, I really hope we do get to block this one. I don't see that actually happening, but, there's a possibility. But we have a long ways to go. They would have to actually pass a law to block the constitutional law for now in order to try and pass the new one. And that's going to be I don't see that happening, but I'd like to see us at least try and say, hold up a second. If this is what people want to do, if this is the way we're going, then maybe we should let them have their say for all the upcoming changes that may happen. But, Dandry, I think we may see many more of these Supreme Court justices step down and retire in the next year for the governor to nominate them before the process changes because, heaven forbid, we allow the people to actually have a say in the process. Oy vey. Let's take a break here. Top of the hour news coming up. Bill O'Reilly. The Bill O'Reilly update coming up in a minute. We'll be back in just a few minutes here on The Voice of Reason. Hour number 2. Stay tuned.
Have you noticed the number of box stores that sell bed mattresses is dwindling? Locked up, closed down, shuttered. I mean, of course, commission-paid salesmen who use a dancing sheep to try and lure you in. It's believable. There's a reason why people who dip their toes in the water of looking for bed mattresses end up buying a Derby mattress of Derby. Lower everyday prices than the box store sale prices. Every day. Derby Mattress, 105 South Baltimore in Derby.
A trusted name for quality, that's Burwell Construction. It's the spring storm season, which means rough weather could cause problems to your roof and siding. If the storms hit, remember Burwell Construction. For over 25 years, Burwell Construction has provided quality craftsmanship to Kansas homes with roofing, siding, and windows. If rough weather hits you, call 316-794-3430 or visit burwellconstruction.com.
If it's built well, it's Burwell. Burwell Construction.
This is a Steckline Communications station, K273CX, FM 102.5, and AM 1480 KQAM, Wichita proud.
Bill O'Reilly here. It is Thursday, July 11th, 2019. You are listening to the O'Reilly Update. Here's what's happening across our nation. President Trump expected to issue an executive order adding a citizenship question to the census. Iranian gunships failed to seize a British oil tanker in the Persian Gulf. U.S. women's soccer star Megan Rapinoe protests the national anthem again during her own victory parade. Beto O'Rourke trashing the USA at a campaign stop in Tennessee. And a federal agency becomes the first department to spend more than $100 billion a month. Also coming up, the message of the day on the brawl between Pelosi and Ocasio-Cortez. But first, multiple Iranian gunboats try to hijack a British oil tanker in the Persian Gulf, forcing the UK military to aim its weapons at the Iranian Revolutionary Guard in those boats. 5 crafts approached the British vessel before a Royal Navy warship intercepted the threat. The U.S. and U.K. militaries remain on high alert following the unprovoked maneuver. President Trump expected to issue an executive order today adding a citizenship question to the upcoming census. The Supreme Court already has ruled the feds cannot do that, so a showdown may be coming. U.S. women's soccer star Megan Rapinoe protesting the U.S. national anthem during the team's victory parade in New York City. The controversial athlete refusing to acknowledge the American flag as a member of the police department sang the Star-Spangled Banner. Rapinoe saying her demonstration will cause Americans to, quote, question everything. Perhaps the first question might be, why are you so selfish? Presidential candidate Beto O'Rourke telling a group of immigrants the USA was founded on white supremacy, saying, quote, every single institution that we have reflects the legacy of slavery, unquote. O'Rourke attempting to reboot his campaign after falling poll numbers and a disastrous first debate performance. Department of Health and Human Services becoming the first U.S. agency to spend more than $100 billion a month. A whopping 86% of the entire budget is dedicated towards Medicare and Medicaid. The nation currently has a $22.5 trillion debt. Upcoming, the message of the day, the intense fight between Nancy Pelosi and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Right back with it. A massive data breach of home titles and mortgages may have exposed your home and bank loans to home title thieves. If you've received robocalls or mail stating you're pre-approved for loans or credit cards, thieves may already have you. They're after money, of course, and they get it by forging your home title so it looks like you sold your home. Then they'll take out loans against your home and stick you with the payments. And listen, no insurance, bank, or identity theft program protects you. Home Title Lock does. For pennies a day, Home Title Lock puts a barrier around your home's online title to keep foreign and domestic thieves away. So if you've received robocalls or mail for pre-approved credit cards or loans, you need to move, and fast. I got you 60 risk-free days of Home Title Lock protection to get you through this current breach. Register your address now to verify you're not already a victim. Please go to HomeTitleLock.com. HomeTitleLock.com. HomeTitleLock.com.
Price sells cars at Rusty Eck Ford. And with our great financing offers, it's like we have a bank in our back pocket to help you get into a new car, truck, or SUV. So if you have good credit, bad credit, no credit, or a discharge bankruptcy, that's okay. If you have a job and make at least $1,400 a month, we can help you get a fresh start at Rusty Eck Ford, where price sells cars.
And we understand sometimes bad things happen to good people. Come to Rusty Eck Ford and let us help you get a fresh start on your credit.
And now, this moment of quiet calm, brought to you by Rusty Eck Ford.
Time now for the O'Reilly Update message of the day. You may be following the controversy between Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi and first-term Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Now, this is a very interesting power play. Ms. Pelosi is by far the most powerful politician in the House of Representatives. She holds the purse strings over all the other Democratic members of the House. That means when they run for re-election every 2 years, Nancy Pelosi dictates who gets Democratic money, which the Congresspeople need to conduct their campaigns. So they do what Mrs. Pelosi says. That's why she controls the House with an iron hand. Now, to be fair, the Republicans do that as well, but Ms. Pelosi is an expert at it. Enter Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a congresswoman from New York. She is a radical leftist. She wants to blow up the system. She believes Nancy Pelosi is corrupt. she wants to humiliate the Speaker. So, almost every hour on the hour, Ms. Ocasio-Cortez either tweets or does an interview denigrating Nancy Pelosi. Obviously, the Speaker is not happy about this, but she has no control over Ocasio-Cortez because she doesn't need Pelosi's money. Her outside donors in Hollywood and radical leftists all over the country give her enough money to do whatever she wants to do. So Pelosi has no hammer over the head of Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez. Now, Nancy Pelosi has gone public by saying that Ms. Cortez and 3 other radical House members are, well, let's say, not very smart. And the genesis of this is that Nancy Pelosi is a deal maker. She doesn't want to blow up the system. She wants to game the system. Now, in reply to Nancy Pelosi's disrespectful comment, Ocasio-Cortez said, quote, "But the persistent singling out, it got to the point where it was just outright disrespectful. The explicit singling out of newly elected women of color." Basically, Ocasio-Cortez calling Pelosi a racist. And this is the game on the radical left. If you disagree with them, if you criticize them, you're a racist. Remember Senator Kamala Harris and former Vice President Joe Biden in the first debate. What was Harris's implication about Biden on the busing issue and working with other senators who supported segregation at one time? What was the implication? Biden's a racist. It's always there. And Ocasio-Cortez plays this card almost every time there's a controversy. So, Americans need to know, and if you're a Democrat, you need to know, that there is a big split within the Democratic Party, and it is getting very nasty, and it could have a profound impact, let's say, on who is the Democratic nominee for president. And that's a message. For more fact-based analysis, please visit BillO'Reilly.com, a news service you will benefit from. The O'Reilly Update will return with something you might not know. Millions of Americans have been diagnosed with cancer or a serious illness. If you are one of them and money is a problem, you're not alone. It's simple. If you own a life insurance policy of $100,000 or more, then Life Guide Partners can evaluate your coverage for free to see if you qualify for cash now when you need it the most. Be ready to take down this number. If you own a life insurance policy of $100,000 or more and you are living with a serious illness, then Life Guide Partners can evaluate your coverage free to see if you qualify for cash now. So write this number down, 1-888-GUIDE-50. Totally free to call. Get rid of those insurance premiums. Stop paying them. Consider turning that life policy into cash. The number again, 1-888-GUIDE-50. 1-888-484-3350. 1-888-GUIDE-50. Call now.
Hail.
Ouch! Oh.
Wind. Freezing temperatures. Tornadoes. That's mayhem.
Hi, I'm Mark Collier, your local Allstate agent. We're your insurance agency interested in doing what's best for you. Before mayhem strikes, call us at our Goddard office, 316-413-4014, and find us on Facebook at Collier Allstate. Are you in good hands?
It's that time of year when the grill is always the best cooking option, so stop by your favorite Yoder Meats location to pick up some great meat for the grill. Steaks, chops, burgers, brats, marinated chicken, we've got it all, plus a nice variety of specialty items that you won't find anywhere else. Our Yoder Meats bundles and butcher bags are great options for buying in bulk and saving, and for a special treat, how about our homemade cinnamon rolls, cakes, and cookies? Don't forget the snack sticks for a quick bite on the go. Follow us on Facebook for all the latest information and specials. Taste the old-fashioned flavor at Yoder Meats in Yoder and 3 locations in Wichita.
Now the O'Reilly Update brings you something you might not know. The popularity of cell phones and other digital devices has dramatically altered the way we consume media. and no industry has felt the impact more than the music business. According to the Recording Industry Association of America, revenue from the sale of music has been declining over the past 20 years, peaking in 1999 when the music industry raked in $14.5 billion. But in 2018, music generated less than $10 billion in revenue, half of which went to digital subscription services like Apple or Spotify. These days, the idea of actually owning a CD, record player, or tape deck seems as antiquated as owning a VCR. Still, the album holds a mythical place in music history. Here are the 10 best-selling albums of all time in the USA, with apologies to Casey Kasem. Number 10, with 21 million copies sold, Hootie and the Blowfish, 1994, Cracked Rear View. Number 9, the only country artist on our list, Garth Brooks, with his 1998 double live album. Garth is followed by Australia's AC/DC, whose 1980 album, Back in Black, sold 22 million copies. Number 7, a favorite for the counterculture folks, Pink Floyd's The Wall. The 6th spot belongs to another English band, Led Zeppelin, whose untitled 4th album, commonly referred to as Led Zeppelin 4, has moved 23 million units. Number 5 goes to a man who's selling out Madison Square Garden every month, Billy Joel. His greatest hits, Volume 1 and 2, has sold 23 million discs. The Fab Four fittingly take the number 4 spot on the list. The Beatles' 1968 White Album sold more than 24 million copies over 5 decades. Second on the list goes to Michael Jackson's Thriller, 33 million albums sold. Now, you may have noticed I skipped number 3. That's because the group behind the best-selling album of all time, Eagles, appears twice on the list. Their 1976 album, Hotel California, sits at number 3, while their greatest hits takes the top spot. 38 million copies sold, a record unlikely ever to be beaten. Congratulations to Eagles. We'll be right back. It's an uncertain world out there, you know that. Disaster can strike at any time. So you need to be prepared. One way to do that is with freeze-dried food. It tastes good. It's healthy. Can be stored for 25 years. That's why I'm happy to tell you about a company I recommend, Wise Foods. During Superstorm Sandy, I lost power for 7 days. All of my refrigerated food done. But my food supply from Wise Foods was as fresh as the day I received it. Visit Wise Food Storage, one word, wisefoodstorage.com/Bill. They are even offering free shipping plus a big discount of 25% off for my listeners. So please go to wisefoodstorage.com/Bill, wisefoodstorage.com/Bill, or you can call 855-269-0501. That's 855-269-0501. Thanks for listening to the O'Reilly Update. I am Bill O'Reilly. No spin, just the facts, and always looking out for you.
It's time for Reason.
That's the nature of the beast right now, so let's talk about conservatism, because we can win when we talk about the ideas. And people can't argue with it, because we win on platform when we actually argue the platform, rather than go into these rhetorical bumper sticker type arguments.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
It's been a long time coming. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, buddy, that's what I'm talking about. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. It's hour number 2. Broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas on the Big Talker, 1480 on the AM side, 102.5 on the FM side, KQAM. We are simulcasting all over social media, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, all that good jazz. It's hour number 2 of the Voice of Reason on a pre-Friday celebration. That means it's one darn good day, let me tell you. It's a heck of a day. We're having way too much fun. Welcome in 316-721-8255. 316-721-TALK if you want to join into the Shocker Pool hotlines. We'd love to hear from you. Coming up in hour number 3, we have Akeem Ashford. He is with the VA here in Wichita are going to be in studio talking about the Mission Act. If you are a veteran, if you get or accept VA benefits, this is going to affect you. I'm not sure if you're aware of the Mission Act or not, but that's done some changes when it comes to urgent care benefits for you. So we'll talk about some of the details coming up in hour number 3 as we have the VA coming in studio and chatting with us. So I am excited about that. That's going to be a great interview, and you can look forward to that here in just an hour from now. Until then, though, it's open lines to you at 316-721-8255. We talked a lot in depth about the big discussion that Governor Laura Kelly had made today, making the announcement she will not be going on and pursuing the court case to hear about the food stamp extension with her executive order. But as we talk about executive orders, there is some breaking news going on. And according to the Washington Post, President Donald Trump did announce earlier today that he is expected to sign an executive action as part of a renewed bid to ask about citizenship on the 2020 census. According to the two administration officials, prolonging a contentious and legal political standoff over adding the controversial question to the decennial survey, it remains unclear exactly what Trump will announce, including whether it will be an executive order or by some other action that falls short of that move. But President Donald Trump will be making an announcement here soon. According to him, earlier this morning, the White House will be hosting a very big and very important social media summit today. Would I have become president without social media? Yes, probably. As this conclusion, we will all go to the beautiful Rose Garden for a news conference on the census and citizenship. There we go. An executive action. Executive order that President Donald Trump is going to be using to put that, potentially going to be putting that citizenship question on the census. Now, I know I'm going to get a call, and I'm waiting for it. So, go ahead and ring me up. I know I'm going to get a call saying, Andy, you are such a hypocrite. You are such a hypocrite. You are all about President Trump using the executive order to put the citizenship question on the census, but you're not okay with Governor Laura Kelly using the executive order to extend food stamps. You are truly, Andy, a despicable, hateful hypocrite. I know I'm going to get that call, so I'm waiting for it. Should we wait for it? I'm waiting for it. Are you waiting for it? It's going to happen. So let's break it up before that even happens, shall we? The reason that there's a big difference is that something in the state law is an actual state law that specifically says that she's not allowed to do what she's trying to do. She's violating what a state law says. As far as I'm aware, there is no federal law that actually says that you are not allowed, specifically says you are not allowed to put a question of citizenship on the census. Because, in fact, the whole point of the census is to get an understanding of what's going on in the nation, which is why you send out a census for people to fill out to say, okay, this is how much money I make, this is who I am, this is where I live, this is how many households I've lived in, this is how many people live in the house, and this is my citizenship status. Whether I'm a citizen, whether I get a green card, whether I'm here temporarily, whether I just got naturalized, whatever it is, that is how we actually decide and actually get a good feeling of what's going on in the nation. So that's kind of the point of the whole thing. So these rabble-rousers on the other side of the aisle that are all about, no, we can't be putting the citizenship question on the census because that would deter people from actually doing it. It's actually against the law to not fill out the census if you're in the nation, but you're already breaking the law if you're here illegally, so it doesn't really matter. But number two, as we've asked before, what would it matter if you just lie like you have already before, being an illegal alien? I mean, if you're an illegal alien and you're here, then you're already lying because you're not supposed to be here in the first place, but you're saying that you are, or trying to be here in some way, shape, or form. You have some form of work, which means you probably gotten some type of ID number, which is against the law if you're here illegally. You've probably gotten maybe some sort of Social Security number if you're paying taxes, which is against the law. So you probably committed some type of ID theft as well at the same time. So if you're here illegally, then what does it matter for you to sign the paper and say either yes, I'm a citizen, or no, I'm on a visa? Or if you're illegal, are you really going to fill it out regardless of whether that question's on there or not? If you aren't legal, then what the heck do you have to worry about? You fill out the census like everybody else and you're fine. So I'm interested to see how this is going to be that big of a deal and why they don't like this one. But with Donald Trump now saying that he's going to make the announcement, he's going to be in the Rose Garden, he's going to be all about the citizenship question, and he may sign an executive order. Big difference between that and Governor Kelly. But I find it humorous. This seems to be the really big topical point in today's times when it comes to the powers of the executive branch. The governor does not have the executive authority to sign an executive order to override state law that was signed by the legislature, signed by the governor, approved by the Supreme Court. You can't really do that. You can't say, I'm just going to ignore it, going to change it, just want to do that. I mean, come on, Governor Laura Kelly, regardless of what you feel about the issue, if it was her personal vendetta, she would have fought with tooth and nail and taken that issue to court and not backed off like she did today because she thought she would have had a case. But the fact that she didn't, and she actually did back off and she didn't try to pursue it, that means that she knows that she has zero case if it's taken to court because the Attorney General did his due diligence, Derek Schmidt, by writing down and bolding certain parts of the law and saying this is where it explicitly says you're not allowed to do what you're trying to do. So sorry, rescind it or we're taking you to court. He was very explicit, and she can't deny it. Oh, that's taken out of context. Which you know is what they try to do. So she can try all they want, but, hey, all the power to you. But she realized it's a losing battle. Donald Trump, regardless of what the other side and the opposition think, he's not a dumb guy. He is a very smart guy. He knows how to get people riled up. He knows how to go after people in a fun way where he just doesn't care. He don't care. He's going to go on the Twitter and do whatever he wants to. And he knows when he can sign law. Look, it's called a staff. It's called advisors. He's not going to just go up there and be like, yeah, I am a professional and I know exactly what to do with the Constitution. He's got advisors. He's got legal experts. And they're going to say, hey, we're going to go for this way. They're going to try and take it to court. Obviously, they've tried to take him to court when it came to blocking the refugees coming in from certain nations. Guess what? That got overturned, and now he's allowed to do that. They tried to block him, saying it was unconstitutional to build a wall. Guess what? That came out as unconstitutional, and now he can build a wall. Now we just have to find the funding for it. But he has the power to do that. He really hasn't lost a whole lot of battles. So if he goes after and he tries to fight this one, now, as the news has been saying throughout the day, is that the census is already imprinting, so that means they'd either have to reprint, which I'm okay with, whatever. Tear down some more trees. I know people are going to lose their mind on that one. Or they just put an additional piece of paper in there, which is not that big of a deal either. I think that'd be hilarious. And I wonder how many people would actually do it when they fill out the census. You get it in the mail, and you get your mail, come inside, tear open the envelope, be like, oh, okay, I guess we got to fill this out. And it's the census, and then on the back page, it's just one question, and it's in bold, and it's like 10 times the font as everything else. Are you a citizen? And then he can use yes or no. I would love to see just one singular paper. That's it. Just one paper. Singular. I can say that. And it's just in big font. And it's behind everything, and it's the last page on the census as an additional piece of paper that's stuck right in between it, right in the middle of it. You're going through, filling it out, and then boom, are you a citizen, yes or no? Answer the question. And then you can have on there, down at the bottom and have like Jack Bauer with a little meme. Millions of people will die. I think we should do that. Why? Because that's how important this is, and that's how he just doesn't care. So if he signs it now, how do we go about putting it into the census if it's already imprinting? I don't know that really matters. I don't think that's that big of a deal. It comes out next year. You have 6 months to print it. I think you're going to be all right. I know there's 350 some odd million people in the country, and you're going to have to send it to every household. I get it, but you know what? Throwing away a million pieces of paper, shredding it. We can recycle. We'll do recycled paper. That's what we'll do. We won't throw it away. We'll recycle it. We'll build a new house. We'll use it for Habitat for Humanity. It'll be a fantastic, nice little endeavor there. We'll recycle the paper, build a house, start printing some new paper. Then we'll be all good. Because this is what they're going to argue against. They're going to try and stop it legally, and they're going to say, well, it's already in print, and you just don't care about the environment, and you just want to continue to try and disrupt things, and it's running so unorganized in Washington, D.C., and oh my gosh, because that's how we seem to play politics today. So I'm wondering how it's going to be done, but if he does do this announcement, if he does sign the executive order, then they'll try and fight it in court. But until then, as far as I'm aware, as long as, which of course it's going to happen, one judge is going to come out and be like, no, you can't do that. And it's going to be some little no-name district judge in California, and they're going to say, nope, not allowed to do that. And then it's on block, and it's on hold. And then we go to the Supreme Court, and then we get the decision made, and then it's just going to be this whole thing. And then they're just going to keep on printing. They figure the farther they can go down the road printing, then the less likely it is going to be to do an addition onto the piece of paper. So your thoughts, should we use that executive power? Should President Trump use that, or should he just let it lay? I like the idea of us needing a citizenship question on there. I think it's silly not to have one, but you know that they're going to throw a fit about it, and And, hey, that's what they do. Let's go to the phone, shall we? 316-721-8255. Line number 1. Good afternoon. Who's this?
Hey, Andy, this is Patricio.
Hey, what's going on, sir? How we doing?
Oh, pretty good. How are you?
Living the dream, my friend, every day.
Hey, I was hoping you could help me with a question.
You bet.
Maybe a little bit of a government lesson for everybody, too. So there's 3 branches of government, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the legislative, the executive, and the judicial.
Correct.
Is any one of those 3 branches superior to the other?
No.
So why does the president continue to go to the courts for approval?
Because unfortunately, that's how we. I guess I should do an amendment on my answer there. The 3 branches of government should not have more power than one another, but in today's times, the courts seem to have all the powers because we always seem to look at them for their opinion and based on their opinionated interpretation of the law for us to make our final decision. Because, just as we mentioned, how they blocked the refugees coming into the country, that was blocked by a court. We had to take it to another court to make a decision on. It should be, thanks for your opinion, we're going to do our own thing. But you're right, we shouldn't be going to the courts for their opinion on that.
And it's been like that. The executive has passed on their power to the judicial for however many of the last branches, and then the legislative has obviously sold out to the administrative state, the military-industrial complex.
Sure. No, you're spot on. You are spot on with how the system works today, which is why, do you feel like the government properly represents you in today's age?
The government, no. Donald Trump, mostly, yes.
Sure. But, I mean, when others say, well, Andy, you can't be attacking the administrative state. You can't be saying the government doesn't work for us because it's a government of the people. But I don't see that in today's times. It doesn't represent us.
The government is too big. It needs to be suppressed. Socialism never works. And hopefully with this Jeffrey Epstein stuff and his list of bad guys in government, hopefully we can easily get them all out and change the world.
Do you think we're going to start seeing the dominoes fall at the top?
Oh, I hope so. If so, I mean it's terrible circumstances. What happened to the Human Abedin and Clinton and the little girl? What happened with all them that supposedly was on video? And who knows? Hopefully so.
Hey.
It would be a blessing from God if so.
Amen to that one. Hey, I appreciate the call, my friend. You're spot on. I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. There are 3 branches of government. Why are we looking to the courts for every answer? You're right. Now, do they give their opinion based on their interpretation of law? Yes. Should we take in consideration? Sure. But one judge in California should not be able to come out and say, you're not allowed to do that, I don't like it, and then put a block on the entire executive branch. Doesn't happen that way. It's not the way the governmental system is supposed to work. So they can try it. We should be able to ignore it, which is what, again, kudos to President Donald Trump, understanding that and looking like a radical in the process, but at the same time saying we're not going to allow that type of brutality and that type of bullying to take place in government any longer. I'm going to still sign an executive order. Come at me, bro. That's what he's going for. And we say God bless Donald Trump on that front. Got to take a break. Bottom of the hour news coming up. We'll shift gears when we come back. Stay here.
Now back to the KQAM News Desk.
The city of New Orleans is now under this tropical storm. Why?
New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell is getting her city ready for a weekend hurricane.
There would be a possible Category 1 at landfall for the city of New Orleans.
Now Tropical Storm Barry will intensify and could bring between 10 and 20 inches of rain to the Gulf Coast states. The top Republican in the House, Kevin McCarthy, says he would support the president if he uses an executive order to get a citizenship question on the 2020 census.
The census only comes around once every 10 years. We ask a numerous amount of questions. I think this is data that we have a right to know and should know.
The president's expected to unveil his new census strategy this afternoon. A federal judge is ordering Georgia election officials to allow computer experts and lawyers to review the databases used to create ballots and count votes. A lawsuit challenges Georgia's election system and seeks statewide use of hand-marked paper ballots. I'm Mike Moss.
Youth vaping is a serious problem.
One issue, some retailers violate our policies by selling to youth and allowing bulk purchases. To crack down, Jewel Labs conducts about 2,000 secret shopper visits per month at retail stores nationwide. Stores that fail FDA compliance checks are also penalized by the company. Learn more about Jewel Labs' efforts to combat youth vaping at jewel.com/youth-prevention. Jewel Labs, for adult smokers only. Paid for by Jewel Labs.
Do you live with a 10? And by 10, I mean a First Alert 10-year sealed battery smoke and carbon monoxide alarm. First Alert's 10-year sealed battery smoke and CO alarms provide trusted, reliable protection that lasts for a decade without the hassle of battery replacements and late-night battery chirps. Remember, alarms don't last forever and need to be replaced. Upgrade your home to a 10. First Alert 10-year sealed battery alarms. To learn more, visit firstalert.com/10-year or a Lowe's store today.
Landowner.
Mid-America Network News. Democratic Governor Laura Kelly has dropped a policy that extended food assistance to thousands of Kansas adults even though they failed to meet a work requirement and had no children. Governor Kelly said she believes her administration's policy was legally defensible, but engaging in a lengthy court battle was not worth the cost to taxpayers. Senate President Susan Wagle issued a statement in response to Governor Kelly's decision to withdraw the new policies that violate the HOPE Act. She said it's disappointing that it took the Attorney General threatening litigation against Governor Kelly for her to comply with the law. 2 people were shot to death in a market and deli in Kansas City, Kansas, and police have arrested the suspect after he barricaded himself inside for 2 hours. A family member identified one of the victims of yesterday afternoon's shooting as owner Dennis Edwards. Police said when they tried to enter the business, the suspect pointed a gun at officers and a standoff resulted. I'm Stephanie Austin.
When it comes to the trailer you're hauling behind your vehicle, whether it's a big rig or a pickup truck, MJ's Truck Repair at exit 46 off I-135 in Mound Ridge, Kansas has your back. Doonan and Chaparral drop decks, flatbeds, and heavy hauling trailers for the big rigs, along with Gooseneck livestock trailers by Barrett. And for your pickup truck, the utility line of trailers from Rice with 5x10 to 8x20 boxes. MJ's Truck Repair, Mound Ridge.
This moment of peacefulness is brought to you by Rusty Eck Ford.
Price sells cars at Rusty Eck Ford. Now at Rusty Eck, you can get a discount of $2,000 off every Ford F-150 in stock. And you keep the rebates up to over $6,200. That's over $8,200 in discounts and rebates. Plus, we'll throw in a new Green Mountain Grill with built-in Wi-Fi when you buy.
Save thousands on an F-150 and get a Green Mountain Grill? You bet. Your choice of a Davy Crockett smoker or a Daniel Boone smoker for your summer fun. And don't forget about our award-winning service. See what's going on at rustyeckford.com.
All rebates to dealer cannot be combined, plus tax and fees. Discounts from MSRP offer expires 7/30/19.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker, KQAM. Sunny today, a little breezy at times, high today of 87. Mostly clear tonight with an overnight low of 67. Sunny tomorrow, high near 89 with light winds. Tomorrow night, clear and 67. Saturday, sunny with a high near 91. I'm Rich Summers, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM, KQAM.
At 12:35, it's currently 83 degrees.
Join me for Armed American Radio live Sunday at 7 right here on the Big Talker, KQAM.
If you're a Republican, call the show at 316-721-TALK. But if you're a Democrat, call in at 316-721-8255. This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Yeah, buddy. Hey, welcome into it. 36 minutes past the hour. We need to do a better job each and every day as Republicans, as conservatives, as limited government individuals that we feel that we are. We got to do a better job getting our message out there, and the way that when we implement our agenda, it actually works, and actually letting people know about that. Because obviously the left side has the media, the mainstream media, at state levels, at national levels, letting people know what's going on, but in a very twisted, manipulated, convoluting way. And we need to actually let people know what the facts are and the truth. There is a story out that came out of CNBC on the state of Kansas, and this came out yesterday. I want to read this to you. Actually, you know what? We don't need therapy music for this. We need some little bit crazier music.
It's your Pinko Flaming Commie Corner.
Oh, there we go. That sounds a little bit better. All right, so here it is from CNBC. I want to read you this article, and I want to get your thoughts on this because this is the convoluted, twisted, manipulated way things are actually done when it comes to, well, look at the conservative agenda that hasn't really worked, and now look at the progressive agenda that seems to be doing great and everything's all back on track, especially when it comes to the state of Kansas. Residents of one Midwestern state can be forgiven if they have a feeling that they are not in Kansas anymore. The Sunflower State finishes a respectable number 19 overall in this year's CNBC America's Top States for Business rankings. Now, I don't know how they actually rank this. That would be very interesting to see how that's done, but we'll get back to that in a minute. Quote, continuing on, that is a 16-place jump from 2018, making Kansas this year's most improved state. 1 year ago, Kansas was still nursing a hangover from a disastrous tax-cutting experiment by former Governor Sam Brownback, who slashed individual income tax rates and eliminated taxes on pass-through income from certain businesses. Even though, as a partisan supermajority of the state legislature had repealed the Brownback program over his veto in 2017, the state was still dealing with a residual $351 million revenue shortfall for fiscal year 2018, according to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. In addition to its number 35 overall ranking last year, Kansas finished a dismal number 45 in the economy category. This year, the full force of the repeal has taken effect. The state is running budget surplus. In addition to the 16-point improvement in its overall ranking, Kansas rises 16 points in the economy category. Quote from Governor Laura Kelly to CNBC, "We're returning our roots as a very progressive, thoughtful, and forward-looking state. Kansas, for years, has now been at the low end of all economic metrics, and that's changing." That was Governor Laura Kelly. But in the era of good feeling in Kansas could be short-lived. The nonpartisan Kansas Legislative Research Department forecasts revenue to level off and begin declining as soon as next year as growth slows. Republicans in the state legislature are pushing to restore some of the tax cuts, arguing that the Brownback plan failed not because of its tax cuts, but because of its failure to keep spending in line. Even Kelly acknowledged that merely reversing the Brownback tax cuts is not enough to put the state on solid ground. Quote, "We'll be studying our entire state tax structure because it's way out of whack right now. We want to take us back to what works for Kansas, and that's which is really essentially what we call the three-legged stool. Balance out our property taxes, our sales taxes, and our income taxes." There's so many things wrong with this story. So many. Now, this is a national story on CNBC. So if you're not in the state of Kansas, you're reading this and you're like, oh, wow, look at that. Democrats came in and fixed the state. Governor Brownback must have been a really bad kind of guy, right? Governor Brownback was horrible. He couldn't get the state on track. They cut a whole lot of taxes. Thing went to crap, and now look at this. They're all fixed. All better. Everything's great. When that's just not true. It's just not factually. It's not even an opinion thing. It's just not true factually. It's a lie. And we've read through the numbers numerous times about how, number one, Kansas, when Governor Brownback took office from Kathleen Sebelius, the Democrat who, by the way, put Governor Laura Kelly in place now with Kathleen Sebelius, when he took over, we were already in the red. So why didn't we talk about the economic hardship that we saw in the state budget back in 2008? Why didn't we talk about that? And by the time he left 8 years later, along with Governor Collier in there as well, with the 1 year he took over, but 8 years later, we had a $900 million surplus. Why are they not mentioning the fact that over the 8 year span, Governor Brownback went from a $400 million in the red for an annual budget in the deficit to a $900 million surplus at the end of the year sitting in the bank that Governor Kelly just wasted and squandered? And now we have a $400 million surplus in the bank. That's cool, but that's less than half of what we did just a year ago. Why aren't we talking about that? Where's that in this number? So they're lying, flat out lying in CNBC. trying to amuse the rest of the nation, saying that we're the example now of progressive values, repealing and getting rid of tax cuts, raising taxes up, and then spending more, and all of a sudden this is going to fix it. That doesn't make any sense. If they say the economy is all of a sudden turning around, that's a lie. The last year, Governor Brownback, 6 months in a row, we had surpluses higher than projections when it came to tax receipts going into the state government for 6 months straight. We saw numbers each month. Wow, we $30 million above projections. Wow, $40 million above projections. Wow, $60 million above projections this month. Things are doing well. We just got the end of the year tax receipts, right? And that's what all this is about, the hubbub of the fact that we had a surplus this year. And that's the first time. That's a lie because it's not true. Because, again, Brownback ended with a $900 million surplus. Governor Kelly ended her first year with a $440 million surplus. So that, to me, doesn't make any sense. But they're going to try and go after. Here's the thing. Sales tax is down in the state of Kansas. Under Governor Brownback, it was up. We were spending more money. Sales tax, meaning people actually going out and purchasing goods. That helps business, that helps the economy, and that lets us know as an entity overviewing all of this as an economic. And look, I'm not an economic major. This is just common sense to me. If sales tax receipts are up, that means people spend more money, which means people are comfortable spending more money. The last, since the beginning of this year, tax receipts have been down lower than projections. But, Andy, we had surpluses those months. Yeah, and it was from business and income taxes. And do you know why those were up? Because the rates were higher. Not because more people were working, but because rates were higher. When you put people at a higher rate, then you tax people more. But then they have less money, which means you're going to see what you saw here, which is that sales tax receipts are down because people spent less money. That is not rocket science. That is basic common sense. And for CNBC to run a story like this is absolutely absurd. Now, they say that this year we were CNBC's top state for business rankings at number 19 in a 16-point jump, and that we're overall doing well for businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, show of hands or give me a call and let me know, since I can't see your hands, but, metaphorically speaking here, let me know if you see businesses coming in groves to the state of Kansas. I haven't seen any. I've seen the ones that are already here trying to expand a little bit. We hear about here in Wichita with Spirit Aerosystems and with all the other aviation companies trying to expand a little bit and hiring on more jobs. And that's been the job. And that's been a kudos to our city of Wichita and for the county trying to improve some of those jobs and trying to expand what we already have. But new industries that are coming here, do you see any? Are you seeing massive amounts of new jobs and industries coming to Kansas saying, I love Kansas because we have super high income tax rates, we have super high corporate tax rates, and oh, by the way, I love when the state of Kansas does a retroactive tax increase to make you pay and be responsible for the first 6 months out of the year when you didn't pay that rate. So when you file your taxes at the end of the year, then you get to owe the state of Kansas because you're responsible for that retroactive increase. And then businesses, sorry, you're just going to have to deal with it. You're going to have to restructure your entire budget plan for the entire year. Individuals, you're just going to get less money in your paycheck, or you can work out a payment plan to the state of Kansas. And then look at this. We have a surplus because we took more money from you. That's how we're going to judge how well the state's doing? I tell you, we got to do a better job getting our message out there. And as we talk about bringing the emotion behind it, here's an emotional plea for you. If you're working and if you have a family and if you're trying to pay your bills and just go about your day and you're living paycheck to paycheck, taking more of your money so the government can spend it on more programs that you don't use and then saying the economy is doing well, tell me how you feel about that. Tell me about your feelings. Tell me how you feel. What do you think about that? I feel very upset. Tell me why you feel so upset. Some of the other key points that they take away from this is that the year's biggest declines when it comes to economic well-being, according to CNBC in this story, this year's biggest declines belong to Michigan, California, Idaho, Massachusetts, and Pennsylvania. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Idaho is the only one with the Republican governor. Every other one of these states is run by Democrats. And they're seeing the biggest decline. Texas isn't on there. Wyoming's not on there. Oklahoma's not on there. Missouri, which that one's kind of a middle of the road, whatever, wishy-washy, but that one's not on there. No, the biggest decline ones are ones where Democrats have not only run it, but have run it for years. Years. When was the last time a Republican actually led the state of Michigan or California? California. I guess we had Arnold Schwarzenegger with California, and yeah, we did this good. but it didn't decline during his time. It declined right now with all the craziness they're doing in California. Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, they've gone far to the left. They used to be kind of middle of the road, moderate. Now they're going far to the left, except for the Donald Trump election in 2016. But all the states are run by Democrats. So to try and say, look at this, Governor Kelly reverses tax cuts, puts tax increases back in, then we see a surplus, must be doing well, and things are corrected. That's the kind of story that CNBC just ran. And people that don't know the state of Kansas, people that don't follow state politics in other states, people that have no idea what Kansas is actually going through are going to read this story and say, wow, look at that. Kansas must be back on the right track. Thank God for those liberal progressive values that actually put them back on and repeal those evil, terrible brownback policies from the state, because that's all we hear about is the evil, terrible brownback policies, right? Like, holy cow, I never thought we'd see a story like that, especially from a state. I mean, I could see this from an editorial board from the Wichita Eagle or the Topeka Capital Journal or something like that, but from a national story like this from CNBC, good golly. I've never seen so much biased, unfactual writing in my entire life, as the headline is, the comeback state of 2019, Kansas economy rebounds from tax-cutting disaster. Where are we rebounding? I have not seen a bit of rebounding at all in the state. I've seen slight growth, but our sales tax is still down. Jobs quite aren't there compared to the rest of the nation. Our GDP growth actually decreased last year by 0.2% when every other state increased. We are actually lower and actually decreased by not much, by 0.2%, but still. While we're seeing national GDP growth of 3-4% under President Trump's economy of slashing taxes and getting rid of regulation, we're going the other direction. And they say that we're the rebound economy in the country. I call shenanigans on that one, and it's time for many of our elected officials and for you and I to be calling out different mainstream media sources like this, especially on the national front, and saying you have no idea what you're talking about. This is an absolute blatant lie, and we need to correct the record here because this isn't actually happening. 316-721-8255. I found that story very interesting. The Kansas Democrat page shared that on their Facebook page, and I just can't fathom that this is actually good journalism. This is what we consider good journalism now, is my opinion, based on very little actual factual information in this story. A couple clips from Governor Laura Kelly and her quote, and then running it saying, oh, look at that, Kansas doing awesome. I just don't buy it. Let's go to the phones here, shall we? 316-721-8255. Line number 1. Good afternoon. Who's this?
This is Eddie.
Eddie, how are you, sir?
Andy, I've deleted that MSNBC from everything I have. I don't even listen to them. I could care less.
Well, MSNBC is terrible, but CNBC usually just tries to stick to business and financial information, and the fact that they twisted a financial story so badly, I mean, that loses a lot of credibility for a source like CNBC that tries to stay out of politics and just talks about finances in states and the different GDP and stock market and all that stuff. Like, this is a big hit on them because this is complete BS.
But they're still an NBC station.
Sure.
And you know, CNN, you know, talking about CNN for a second, which we know is totally against Obama and et cetera like that. You know, the past owner of CNN, and I forget what, Roy Turner, his name is Turner. Anyway, his wife was Jane Fonda.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Remember, Jane Fonda was the one during the middle of the Vietnam War, went to the North Vietnamese, sat on a tank, and said, "Death to American soldiers."
Sure.
So CNN, MSNBC, the CNNBC, I don't know. Hell, I wouldn't even watch them anyway. I just watch Fox. You know, it's.
Well, but here's the point, though. You do, and a lot of people are waking up, but a lot of people are still watching this, and they turn to CNBC to watch a lot of financial information, a lot of stock market stuff, a lot of business investment stuff, and they hear a story like this, and they say, oh, wow, look at the politics going on in Kansas. I mean, we're always under the microscope. Kansas always has a microscope on it for whatever reason, and we have a lot of impact on national issues. And for a story to run like this, I mean, I give credit when Congressman Estes came into the office a couple of years ago and right off the bat had an editorial editorial piece out of the Wall Street Journal. When we had Alan Cobb that wrote a piece on CNBC or USA Today or whatever it was a while back, about a year or so ago. When we get pieces out there like that, it's good, but it's few and far between. And then they run a story like this that completely changes the mindset of people across the nation, which is going to make them implement these policies on their end, because unfortunately, some people still do pay attention to these news sources.
Andy, CNBC is still an NBC station, and I don't watch them. To hell with them. Who cares? I know that you think that a lot of people, well, excuse me, I shouldn't put it like that. I know that a lot of people watch CNBC for their financial news, but, you know, they just need to forget CNBC and just watch Fox. If you watch Fox, you're going to be a proud American. You're going to be a proud Kansan. You're going to be proud of everything.
Wow.
And I will not watch anything that has to do with NBC.
Sure.
Period.
Well, I'm glad. I wish a lot of people would do the same thing. My point is, I think we need to try and get our message out there on CNBC, so that way when they see this, then they say, wait a second, there's some conflicting information out there because this doesn't seem quite right. And if you really read it, there's really not a whole lot of factual information on there. The only thing they say that's quote-unquote factual is the fact that the state of Kansas won America's top state business ranking that's done by CNBC. So you automatically think, wow, business must be doing very well there. But I have no idea how they actually do these rankings. So I'm concerned because that's what people hear, that's what people believe, and it's just not factually true at all. Got some other calls on the line. Don't go anywhere. Got to take a break here. Getting ready to wrap up hour 2. When we come back in hour number 3, we have some guests as well, but we'll finish this when we come back. Stay here on The Voice of Reason.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Market information, Mid-America Ag Network. Some plus signs for corn, soybeans, and Kansas City wheat as we roll through Thursday. As a matter of fact, Kansas City wheat on a bit of a rally here. September KC wheat up 19.5 at 461. December up 18.5 at 481. So nice double-digit gains all the rest of the way down. September corn is up 4 3/4 at 439 3/4. Good gains in all the later months as well. Soybeans, kind of the same story. The gains are not so big. August beans up 2 1/4 at 896 3/4. September beans up 2.5 at 902 3/4. August soybean meal is up 130 at 312. September is up 110 at 313.50. August bean oil is 11 points higher at 28.20. September is up 12 points at 28.32. So a good look for the most part across the soy complex. Corn and the Kansas City wheat are holding their own rallies, so looking pretty good for grains and soybeans. August live cattle up 2 cents at 107.65. October live cattle up 12 cents at 109.10. After that, things get a bit dicey with some of the later months under pressure. August feeders up 45 at 142.82. September feeders up 45 at 143.30. So a good look for feeder cattle. Each of the later months is in the green. July hogs down 15 at 71.60. August hogs down 232 at 79.40. So we'll keep our eye on that as we go through the remainder of the day. The livestock complex mixed with cattle on the upside and hogs working the lower side. As far as cotton is concerned, October cotton is down 69 points at 62.85. December cotton down 62 points at 63.30. So we do have some issues there. And the metals markets are struggling a bit today. August gold is down $4.50 at $14.0790. We're seeing minus signs with silver and copper as well. Market information from Mid-America Ag Network.
You're busy working. Now get busy saving. It's easy at your authorized Bobcat dealer, White Star Machinery. For a limited time, we're offering cashback rebates up to $13,000 on new Bobcat excavators. Or take advantage of 0% financing for 48 months with approved credit. And we'll give you up to $8,000 back. Don't miss these limited time offers with cashback and 0% financing. Stop by your local White Star or call 866-587-7442 today.
White Star, get the job done.
I'm America's Digital Pro, Kim Commando. Join me for the Kim Commando Show Sunday right here on the Big Talker, KQAM, Wichita.
All right, 5 minutes at the top of the hour as we wrap up hour number 2. Open lines you at 316-721-8255. And let's jump right to them here, shall we, on the Shocker Pools hotlines. Line number 2, good afternoon. Who's this? Hello. Going once, Going twice, give us a call back. We want to hear from you. 316-721-8255 as you can get a say. This media, as they report on Kansas, of course, Kansas being, for whatever reason, the place that many people like to pay attention to, it is interesting to see where we go from here, as we are now supposedly the big rebound and the uprising, the underdog that's actually going to do well in the state of Kansas, in the state compared to the rest of the nation. But yet we have not been able to benefit at all from the Trump economy when it comes to the oil and natural gas economy that's trying to come back, but it's not really coming back when we talk about business growth, because there's not a lot of business that's moving out of the state and coming to the state of Kansas. In fact, if you want to look at population as well, population decreases that happened overall in the state of Kansas and in Sedgwick County and in the city of Wichita over last year. And when you look at some of the U-Haul trackings, which I don't know how I get them, but I've been on this weird tracker to watch like U-Haul and all these other things that they send me in my emails. But they send this to me, and Kansas is actually at the top, in one of the top 5 states for people moving out of Kansas using U-Haul. So please tell me how the economy is doing so well and how we're the rebound state over the last couple of years, and over the last year with Governor Kelly with one legislative session under her belt and only 6 months in the office, and she's all of a sudden the rebound when there's less money in the bank than when Brownback actually left office, and when we're spending more money than we've ever spent before, and business still isn't coming to the state of Kansas, and people are actually moving out of the state of Kansas. I don't know how that's the sign of success. That doesn't make any sense to me. So CNBC can run this all they want to, but until we actually get the record straight, we need to first clear the record and let people know. And CNBC better do a little bit better journalism. At least have some facts or something on there, man. Do something other than a couple of quotes where we're going to be like, hey, it's working pretty good. Yeah. 316-721-8255. Coming up in hour number 3, we're going to shift gears a little bit. I just found that story fascinating, interesting, and the way they wrote that just boggles my mind, as that's what's considered journalism in today's time. So when we come back in hour number 3, we're going to be talking with the VA as the Mission Act. Anybody know about the Mission Act? We'll talk about what that does. And if you're part of the VA, if you are a veteran and you get your health care through the VA, then the urgent care benefits that are going to be happening, urgent care benefits that you're going to benefit from, and the changes that have been happening for the VA. So we'll talk about some of that. Plus, starting this weekend, ICE raids are going to start taking place on Sunday, and some are losing their minds, man. So we'll talk about the ICE raids and what's going on there as well. But hour number 3, right around the corner, we'll talk about the VA, some of the changes happening there, coming up, your phone calls as well, and an open lines on a Thursday. Why? Because this is your show. It's time to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hour number 3, The Voice Reason, coming up. Stay here.
Hi again, everybody. Tony White, Augusta Flight Center. Want to talk about our flight training packages. Private pilot packages starting at just $5,900. Now that'll get you 47 and a half hours in the aircraft, 2.5 hours on our flight training device, 45 hours of instruction, also a free headset and a free home study kit. For more information on this and other flight training options, visit our website at iflyaugusta.com, our Facebook page, or you can call us at 316-733-4080.
A DUI can literally stop a person and their vehicle in its tracks. If you know someone who's gotten a nudge from the judge and their vehicle can't budge without an ignition interlock device, the next right move is Just Right Auto Repair. Just Right Auto Repair at 4312 West Central is Wichita's Intoxilock Ignition Interlock Installation Specialist. Intoxilock is the preferred device of choice among customers and monitoring authorities. Make your vehicle just right in the Quartz site. Just Right Auto Repair, your Intoxilock Ignition Interlock Installation Specialist.
This is a Steckline Communications Station, K273CX, FM 102.5, and AM 1480 KQAM, Wichita Proud. It's time for your latest news from the KQAM News Center. Brought to you by MJ's Truck Repair of Mound Ridge, Kansas. Sales and service of the big rigs and trailers, plus ag diesel equipment repair on and off the farm.
I'm Stephanie Austin. The pumps that could possibly bring down the water table to relieve flooding in homes near Derby will not be turned on. The Sedgwick County Commissioners voted on the issue yesterday. Commissioner Michael O'Donnell requested that the City of Derby turn on one pump to help with the flooding, but after several motions for amendments, commissioners could not come to an agreement and voted it down. Commissioners will meet with residents and engineers in a private meeting today. The Wichita City Council this week approved $100,000 in funding for a master plan study looking at the area between the Arkansas River, Douglas, Maine, and Kellogg. This new study, along with past studies, will help shape the development from the new ballpark village on the west side of the river to the east side of the river. The public will be able to have input on the Riverfront Legacy Master Plan. The first meeting is scheduled for July 31st. It's time now to see what's going on in sports. Here's Doug Downs.
Last night at the ESPYs, Patrick Mahomes was voted the NFL's best player, and now, according to one sports writer, the Chiefs' offense has been ranked as the number 2 offense in the league going into this next season. They are right behind the Los Angeles Rams. The media that covers the Big 12 has put out their football media preseason poll. Kansas State at number 9, KU at number 10 out of the 10-team conference. The top 5 going into the season for the Big 12 look like this: Oklahoma at number 1, Texas, Iowa State, TCU, and Oklahoma State. From the KGSO Sports Desk, I'm Doug Downs.
Shopping Pride Ag Ace Hardware of Maize is actually like reaping all the benefits of many stores, all under one convenient roof. With Pride Ag's already great product lines of Milwaukee, Steel, and Traeger, Pride Ag proudly welcomes the Big Green Egg to its grilling lineup. If you know anything about the Big Green Egg, you already know it's the ultimate cooking experience. Pride Ag has all your grilling accessories also. So much more than a hardware store. Pride Ag Ace Hardware of Maize. It sounds innocent enough.
I like to shop the internet thinking I'll save a few dollars.
But
when it comes to truck accessories, we spend a lot of time in our shop trying to adapt for people what they thought would be such a great deal.
With a combined 100 years of knowledge and experience, our professional sales and installation staff will help you make sure that you get the right accessories for your truck.
Have your accessories professionally installed, saving you time and headaches.
Continental Truck Accessories, 6701 South Broadway.
This is John Sidoric with Heartland Avionics at Augusta Municipal Airport. With a $500 rebate available from the federal government for your ADSB installation, the mad rush is on. And at Heartland Avionics, we have 2 of the most popular brands pre-wired and ready to go, minimizing your aircraft's downtime. Heartland Avionics is also a certified dealer for many other ADSB installation options. Call Heartland Avionics or learn more at iflyaugusta.com.
Here's the latest from the KQAM News Center.
The city of New Orleans is now under this tropical storm watch.
New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell is getting her city ready for a weekend hurricane.
There would be a possible Category 1 at landfall for the city of New Orleans.
Now, Tropical Storm Barry will intensify and could bring between 10 and 20 inches of rain to the Gulf Coast states. The top Republican in the House, Kevin McCarthy, says he would support the president if he uses an executive order to get a citizenship question on the 2020 census.
The census only comes around once every 10 years. We ask a numerous amount of questions. I think this is data that we have a right to know and should know.
The president's expected to unveil his new census strategy this afternoon. A federal judge is ordering Georgia election officials to allow computer experts and lawyers to review the databases used to create ballots and count votes. A lawsuit challenges Georgia's election system and seeks statewide use of hand-marked paper ballots. I'm Mike Moss.
Market information, Mid-America Ag Network. Looking at some plus signs for our grains and soybeans after the USDA reports a little bit earlier in the day. July corn is up 7 at 441 1/4. September is up 6 3/4 at 441 3/4. September Kansas City wheat is up 20 1/4 at 461 3/4. December's up 18 1/4 at 480 3/4. Soybeans looking good. August beans up 2 3/4 at 898 1/4. All the later months are also up. Soybean meal and soybean oil coming along higher too. A good look for soybeans. August live cattle up 20 at 107.82. October up 22 at 109.20. August feeders up 25 at 142.60. September up 27 at 143.12. So cattle are looking pretty good here today. Hogs, not so much. July hogs down 7 at 71.67. August down 205 at 79.67. Market update, Mid-America Ag Network.
Your local weather on KQAM. Brought to you by Derby Mattress. No dancing animals, no gimmicks. Your locally owned hometown mattress store at 105 South Baltimore in Derby.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker, KQAM. Sunny today, a little breezy at times, high today of 87. Mostly clear tonight with an overnight low of 67. Sunny tomorrow, high near 89 with light winds. Tomorrow night, clear and 67. Saturday, sunny with a high near 91. I'm Rich Summers, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM, KQAM.
At 106, it's currently 83 degrees.
Hey, it's Dave Ramsey. Join me today live at 2 right here on the Big Talker, 1480 AM and 102.5 FM, KQAM. Now back to the voice of reason with Andy Hoosier.
It's time for Reason.
That's the nature of the beast right now, so let's talk about conservatism, because we can win when we talk about the ideas. And people can't argue with it, because we win on platform when we actually argue the platform rather than go into these rhetorical bumper sticker type arguments.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
It's been a long time coming. It's been a long time coming. The boys are back.
Yeah, buddy. Hey, 7 minutes past the hour. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. It's hour number 3. This show goes by way too fast. I tell you, we've had so much fun. We've talked about so many issues. We're almost done today, which is crazy. Crazy to think about. Welcome in, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas, on the Big Talker, 1480 on the AM side, 102.5 on the FM side, KQAM, simulcasting all over social media, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, all that good jazz. Make sure to check it out. Go to the Voice of Reason page. Go to KQAM's page. And check us out. Leave a comment, say hi, call me a jerk. I don't care. Whatever, it's cool. Haters gonna hate. Welcome in. 316-721-8255. 316-721-TALK on the Shocker Pools hotlines. I want to get back into in just a little bit the decision from Governor Laura Kelly with the executive action that she repealed back from and pulled back from a little bit. I want to talk about the CNBC article about the state of Kansas and the economy. But first, there's some really interesting and really important information that came out. How many people, show of hands, are familiar with the Mission Act that was implemented on June 6th last month, and know what it is and know what it does? And if you're part of the VA, if you're a veteran and you're part of the VA benefits that you receive, this is kind of important stuff. So on the phone with us to talk to us about this, I'm really excited to get them on. He is the public affairs officer for the VA Medical Center right here in Wichita. It's Akeem Ashford hanging out with us here. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Andy, thank you so much. I got to tell you how much we really appreciate you having us on today.
Oh, absolutely. I really appreciate you guys reaching out and letting us know on some of this stuff. This is so important, and for the community to understand, for veterans and everybody that goes to the VA, this is good stuff. So,
oh yeah, it's big. You know, honestly, it just really revolutionizes how veterans are going to receive their care, because this is something that's going to be timely and high quality care for our veterans. And then, you know, you got to think about not just the veterans here in the Wichita community, but also out in western Kansas. All those veterans who don't really have a large hospital to go to, they can now go see providers, you know, exactly where they live. So this is going to be awesome for them.
Absolutely. Well, give us a rundown. The Mission Act that was implemented just last month, give us kind of a rundown. What is it and what does it do?
Yeah, you know, the Mission Act, again, it's timely care and it's quality of care. So it kind of improves access to care for veterans. So say if a veteran, lives, because we always hear about access getting into a doctor. Well, now this no longer is an issue for them. So as long as they're registered with the VA, so they come to the VA for their medical care, they can now go see a provider in their community where they live. And this is going to be awesome because, say if a veteran, has an issue that arises, out of, health concerns that just kind of come up, now that veteran's going to be able to go into that community provider and see that community provider right there at their own leisure. So this is going to be awesome for them.
This is so good to hear because we have been working with hearing about the horror stories with the VA and how difficult it is to do things. I mean, overall nationally, not necessarily here in Wichita, but I mean nationally with the VA and the difficulty it is for many veterans to get the care. So you can go to the VA, but you can now just go to a walk-in care and urgent care center. You can get things taken care of and actually get looked at, which is, I mean, I'm so glad we're actually starting to focus on some of these issues. It's nice.
I'd love to take all that credit, Andy, but people that are getting paid a lot more than I am, are actually thinking about these things. And, honestly, we hear from those veterans who we get constant feedback from our veterans that come to see us. And so one of the things that they constantly talk about is that access to care. And in Wichita, we don't have a problem with that. We can see you within 20 days, no problem. But those veterans, again, out in western Kansas, this is really for them, okay? So if they have issues out there, that they can go and see that doctor. So with this new benefit, the urgent care portion is a new part of the Mission Act. And so this is going to allow us, so say if you got like a flu or you kind of got like something where you need antibiotics, it's not supposed to replace 911 calls. So if you've got something major, like if you got in a car accident or if you have a broken bone, we still encourage you to go to your local emergency department and then, get that care that you need. But this is just kind of those basic, kind of run-of-the-mill, got a cold, and I need to kind of get in and see a doctor. To be eligible, Andy, you have to first be enrolled in the VA system, and you have to have received care at a VA hospital within the last 24 months.
Gotcha.
That's just so we can kind of establish that health care baseline with those veterans, and then from there, if they want to use this urgent care benefit, they can go in the community and do so.
Boy, this sounds really nice. Talk about you guys here in Wichita. I mean, how many people do you see usually on a daily, monthly, yearly basis? How many veterans are in the area that you guys treat?
Well, we've got about 24 to about 30,000 veterans that we work with here in the Wichita community. Now in western Kansas, it's a little bit more. We've got about 6 CBOCs everywhere from east of Parson all the way out to Dodge City. So we see thousands of veterans every year, not only here at the Wichita VA, but also at our CBOCs, community-based outreach clinics out in western Kansas as well.
Wow. It's amazing to see how many veterans are really in the state of Kansas. I mean, it's really cool to see them active here. But you guys, you're growing. You guys are really making things efficient. I've heard nothing but great things from the Wichita one here. So kudos to you guys on this one. This took place. How long did it take to actually get this implemented and for this legislation to actually go through? Do you know anything about it?
Well, President Trump was very committed to the care of the veterans. And so we recently have a new secretary of the VA. And one of his biggest initiatives is access to care, right? So getting those veterans the care that they need, timely care, quality of care, and as well as customer service. Treating our veterans with the respect, not that they need, but that they deserve and that they earned because they fought, for the country. So the president signed this Mission Act into law last June. And so the VA had about a year and a couple of weeks to figure out how all of this is going to work. And as you know, red tape, is a big deal. So they had to really work through all of the kinks and bugs. And so we rolled it out. We went live with the VA Mission Act on June 6th of this year. So it was about a year ago when President Trump signed it into law.
Sure, plenty of time to get the details out. On the other side of it, from the VA side, but now the family practices that are accepting a lot of the veterans that are going to be able to come in and use this kind of facility. Are the other doctors, the other facilities, are they prepared? Are they excited about this as well?
Absolutely. So that's something that we had to get those facilities, those providers on board. Another thing, we don't shy away from things that have happened in the past here at the Dole VA Medical Center. What we've tried to do is we've tried to address those issues. We hear those from our veterans. We hear those from our providers. A lot of times you hear providers say, hey, we're not being paid, right, under the old law. Well, this Mission Act also as well is supposed to, I think there's a third-party system that kind of helps pay those providers who are taking care of our veterans even quicker. So they're eliminating that barrier of those providers getting paid sooner. So that's another big part of the VA Mission Act as well.
Man, I love it. And this is good stuff. And I believe that our Congressman Steve Watkins from the 2nd District, I believe, worked pretty hard on this one. From, if I remember correctly, I know that he was focusing on a lot of VA stuff, being a veteran himself, and he hopefully had a lot to do with this bill. So this is really exciting. Again, if you want to be part of this, you want to be a part of being able to help out and actually be part of the urgent care, have the accessibility, how can they get registered? How can they get signed up for this?
Absolutely. So first we'd invite the veteran, if they're not already coming to the Dole VA Medical Center for their care, we invite them to first come and get registered. A lot of veterans we hear say, I don't even know if I can qualify for services. Well, we don't know until we sit you down and we kind of go over everything with you. They're just going to need their DD-214 and some other basic ID requirements, that kind of thing. So come in first, get enrolled in the VA. Okay, that's important. And then from there we can kind of help you navigate the system. We give hearing aids for free. And I talk about this quite a bit. Yeah, so veterans who maybe right now, I don't need that, but later on they may need that. Or veterans who are like, I've got to pay all this money for these hearing aids or the batteries. The VA takes care of that. for those veterans. So we just got to make sure that you're qualified. So come on in, get qualified, get registered within the VA system. There's a number, Andy, that veterans can call, and it's directly right here at our VA hospital. So we've got live people here at the Dole VA who are able to answer questions right away for a veteran. That's going to be 316-239-2750, and you're going to connect with a nurse, and they're going to help you kind of figure out, here's a place that you can go to actually go to urgent care. There's also a locator tool on va.gov. So you can do it two ways. You can call that number, 316-239-2750, or you can just simply Google va.gov and find the locator for an urgent care facility close to you.
Man, this is great. I love it. The VA always working, you guys always working to try and make things more efficient, taking care of the veterans who deserve it all day in and day out, and we love what you guys do. I really appreciate you reaching out and giving us this information. We got to get you, I think this is the first time we've talked to you guys at the VA here on the show, so we got to do this more often.
Well, you know what's really crazy, Andy, and so it's really progressive. So Wichita's really moving in the right direction, in so many different ways, and for our veterans especially. I don't think this kind of thing happens at very many other facilities around the country because the VA has kind of been sheltered, but our leadership has been so awesome about allowing us to speak about the issues, about veterans that are important. So this is fun for me, right? So I get to talk about the great things that are available here at the Dole VA Medical Center for our veterans, and we can't do it without our media partners like yourself, so we really appreciate it.
Hey, anytime, my friend. You guys can get, it's an open platform for you guys anytime you need to. Akeem Ashford, Public Affairs Officer for the Dole VA Medical Center right here in Wichita. Brother, I appreciate it very much. Let's stay in touch and let's get you back on and chat again soon.
Yes, sir. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hey, appreciate it very much. 17 minutes past the hour. We'll take a break. Open lines to you. Really good stuff right there. You want to talk about being able to help out the community and being able to widen the horizons a little bit for the VA and being able to take care of veterans. This is the way to do it. Urgent care now. If you get enrolled, you can now go to your family physician, get things taken care of rather than having to wait at the VA, which many times I know can be difficult across the nation. So this is great news, great move in the right direction, and it really does bring up the question on medical care in the nation. We'll do some of that when we come back. Open lines, too, as we wrap up the show on a Thursday, baby, here on The Voice of Reason.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier on the Big Talker, KQAM.
TV's Newlywed Game premiered on this day in 1966.
And ever since, new couples have been trying to answer tough questions
about each other
and about things like, say, how to get that vinyl smell out of all their wedding presents.
Vinyl smell?
Yeah, out of stuff like shower curtains, plastic tablecloths, vinyl placemats, and air mattresses, to name a few.
Must have some pretty cheap wedding guests.
Maybe so, but the problem still exists.
Okay, from deep within the Carey Brothers vault
of erudite information,
we bring the fresh as a daisy answer.
It says here, when vinyl fumes are overpowering you,
with pungent odors that can last for days,
just take it outside
and lay it in the warm sunshine,
turning it over every few hours,
and presto, the smell that would have lasted for days
will now be gone in less than 24 hours.
Heat does the trick,
and sunshine works real slick.
For more tips, visit our website at onthehouse.com.
Did you know your concrete porch and steps, patio, pool deck, garage floor, even your ugly laminate countertops can be resurfaced with real stone as easily as painting? I'm Peter Deitch, president of Deitch Coatings, and I'm here to say you can. Tastefully accent surfaces all around your home with just a roller and a brush to achieve beautiful, high-performance stone finishes that last. Why wait? Deitch Coatings are available to you factory direct and online at homedepot.com. Plan your next project at DeitchCoatings.com. That's DAICH Coatings.com.
It's a new era of NASCAR excitement.
Chase Elliott, your leader, Joey Logano right on the back bumper.
The Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series.
Eric Jones able to break away by a car length and a half.
Featuring the world's best drivers.
Kevin Harvick still trying to catch Jimmy Johnson.
Fighting for the biggest prize in racing.
And he is your champ.
The Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series on the Motor Racing Network.
NASCAR on KQAM. Brought to you by Burwell Construction.
Mr. Davis, is bourbon really just a cool weather drink?
We at Davis Liquor know that bourbon is popular year-round. And right now at Davis Liquor Outlet, Maker's Mark 1.75 liters are just $46.99 and 750 mLs $25.99.
Davis Liquor Outlet, each store independently owned and operated, excludes 31st and Meridian.
Hi, I'm Bob Tracy, owner of Wood Savers. For 3 decades, we've been preserving and restoring decks, fences, and cedar-sided homes. We do all repairs along with cleaning, staining, and sealing the wood. We enhance the look by choosing stain colors that complement your home and add metal spindles to give your deck a whole new upgrade. Customers will automatically receive a discounted maintenance plan, so you'll never have to stain your wood again.
For a free estimate, call or text Wood Savers at 316-831-9300, 831-9300, or learn more online at woodsaversinc.com.
You make a million tough business decisions every day. So here's the easiest one of the year. Dell's Black Friday in July is back and bigger than ever. Get no-brainer deals on the very latest computers with Intel Core processors and a huge selection of servers, electronics, and more, all with free shipping on everything. To make your decision even easier, Dell's small business technology advisors can help you find just the right tech. Call 877-BUY-DELL. That's an easy call to make at 877-BUY-DELL or visit Dell.com/smallbusiness.
Board-certified podorthist John Galbraith with Unique Feet Podorthics explains Unique Feet Podorthics does much more than just diabetic foot care.
We work on a lot of different issues. Accident victims, people who have deformities, of course with the diabetic population. And we also work with people with arthritis, fractures, plantar fasciitis. Some people have hammer toes, bunions, or Taylor's bunions. And we work with all of those things.
Unique Feet Podorthics of Wichita, 687-9188, 687-9188.
Hi, this is Brian Davis.
It most certainly is.
And this is Blake Davis with some cool beer specials for this hot summer. All Coors, Miller Lite, and Bud Family 24-pack 12-ounce cans, just $16.99.
Each Davis Liquor outlet is independently owned and operated. Excludes 31st and Meridian.
Stay tuned for the latest news all day right here on the Big Talker, KQAM.
22 minutes past the hour. Welcome into the Voice of Reason here on the Big Talker, KQAM, advancing conservatism like nobody else, like nobody's business, baby. That's what we do. Hey, welcome in. Thanks for listening to us each and every day. We do appreciate that very, very much. 316-721-8255. Open lines too for the rest of the show as we have a little bit of time to the bottom of the hour, the last half hour of the show. Thanks again to the VA coming on the show. That was really neat. And chatting with us about what's going on the local level, especially when it comes to the Mission Act. And if you are a veteran and you're enrolled with the VA, then you can now go to different facilities, family physicians, doctors, whatever you need to get some treatment done for basic necessities without having to go to the VA and wait for your time through the mill, which they try and do the best they can. It's government health care. It's not going to be the most efficient, so they do the best they can, and kudos to the VA for trying, and those guys are awesome here locally. But as a whole, government health care, you want to see what Medicare for All would look like, just try and do that times like a million and see how well that actually works for you. So kudos to the VA and those guys widening the horizons, making this all happen. And now if you're a veteran, you can get some care in other ways, in different ways, and making your life a little bit easier and better. So well done on that front. And we say, again, today's all about winning, baby.
We did it! We did it! We did it! Yay!
That's what I'm saying. 316-721-8255. Let's get into a Kansas update. What do you say?
Today in Kansas.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, here's the headline from the Topeka Capital Journal. As you know, former Congressman Tim Hulskamp, this happened a little bit ago, but this is making the news as of now. They're finally realizing this. Oh, hey, look at that, he left. So Tim Hulskamp, former congressman from the 1st District, a great individual. He was a Tea Party member. If you remember back when he was in there, he was all about the cut, cap, and balance bill, cutting spending, capping the debt, balancing the budget. That's what it was all about, and he was one that co-signed for that on the House side. He lost because of his removal of the Ag Committee chair or Ag Committee on the House side and some other things, and I don't think he ran the best campaign in that sense, but he ended up leaving. Roger Marshall, who's now in there, is the one that beat him in the primary, and Tim Hulskamp went on to become president of the Heartland Institute, and we've had Tim Hulskamp on the show. It's been a few months, but we had him on almost monthly for about 4 or 5 months there for a while. Great individual, solid conservative. Well, the big news is that he's officially left the Heartland Institute, and that's the story from the Topeka Capital Journal. He's resigned from his six-figure-a-year job as president of the chief executive officer at the Heartland Institute. Now, they don't give a reason why, and they don't say what's going on, but that's the story. Here's my theory of the day.
Andy's predictions.
I don't know if this is going to be true or not, but I have a theory, and I wonder if Tim Huelskamp is not planning to run for the open U.S. Senate seat. That would throw a wrench in things, wouldn't it? As we have conservative after conservative jumping on board right now. We've got Jake Turner that's in there. We have Susan Wagle that's about to announce. We have Chris Kobach that's officially announced. We have Wink Hartman that's potentially going to announce. We have Matt Schlapp that's going to potentially announce. We have Roger Marshall that's potentially going to announce. If Tim Huelskamp jumps into this race, that's going to really make this race interesting for the U.S. Senate. Now, I don't know if he's going to or not. This is under no speculation. This is no insider information that I have, is I do get that once in a while, the tweets going on within the party, but this is none of that. This is just my own personal speculation. I'm wondering, I don't know, maybe things just weren't good at the Heartland Institute. Maybe things weren't running the way he wanted to. Maybe he's got different ambitions or wants to do something different. I don't know. But going into a 2020 race, if he's going to, then I almost wonder if he's not going to announce his run for the 2020 U.S. Senate seat here in Kansas. And if he did, I'd say kudos to him. I think he would be a great candidate if he jumped in there. I think that would make the race really interesting. And I think he could do a phenomenal job and actually be a contender for that race if he chooses to do so. So I don't know if it's happening or not. Don't quote me. Andy said, the voice of reason said Tim Huelskamp's going to run. No, but I think he would be very good at it if he chose to do so. But the timing of it's very interesting. Just like the timing with the Supreme Court justice announcing their retirement, saying, yeah, go ahead and fill that slot there before you guys change it and make it, all like transparent for people to have a say in stuff. Let's go ahead and load up those courts and do what we can. So, hey, anybody else looking at trying to retire, now's the time to do so. It's kind of like that. If he's going to, he's got a good year to start building up that campaign and prepare to run for that seat. I don't know if he will or not. He did leave on a bit of a bitter taste when it came to Washington, D.C., as he was booted off that ag committee, not because he wasn't against farmers, but because he was trying to say maybe social programs shouldn't be going through the Department of Agriculture and the budget shouldn't be getting astronomically higher. And he didn't play that in the election. He focused too much on personal attacks against Roger Marshall, which he didn't need to do. He didn't defend himself on what really happened in Washington, D.C., because if he would have explained himself in that District 1 that is predominantly conservative, that is predominantly very red, predominantly rural Americans, rural Kansans, predominantly farmers and agriculture on the western part of the state, if he would have explained his position better on the campaign trail, saying, I love farmers, I am a farmer, I support farmers, I want you to get subsidies, I want you to get your money, but they're spending way too much money, and for me to support a budget bill for the ag department that gets bigger and bigger every year for things that don't even go to farmers, I'm not going to support that. I'm supporting real agricultural issues. I bet you he would have won the race. Nothing against Roger Marshall, but I think he would have won the race and retained his seat if he would have done that. He didn't. He got a little panicky. The Chamber of Commerce removed their endorsement from him, and then he went after Roger Marshall on a personal level, and he ran a very bad campaign, at least in my humble opinion, which is why Tim Huelskamp actually lost. But if he jumped into this race and maybe a few years away from D.C., trying to go back in and try and do what he potentially could do up there as a senator, I think that he could be a contender in this race if he chooses to run. That's a big if. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe we're just making more out of it than what we need to. But I find it very interesting that he could be a contender in this race with already the 10-plus that are potentially looking at it, including some of the high-profile politicians in Kansas that are already in a lot of seats or just recently removed from seats. He would definitely have his hands full trying to get through a crowded primary, but maybe he could be a contender. Who knows on that one? 316-721-8255. I'd like to hear a poll. Maybe we'll do a Facebook poll or a Survey Monkey poll here in the next couple of days on your preliminary thoughts on the potential candidates for the U.S. Senate and who you think would actually do well in that seat. We may do that for the voice reason. We'll put one up later on today and get your thoughts on that because I'm curious. It's early, but with how many candidates, let's get a early thought process on where we're going to go with the Republicans in that race. I'd like to see that. We'll do that later on today. Stay tuned in. Stay tuned to social media for that. Bottom of the hour news coming up. We'll shift gears when we come back. Ice raids beginning this weekend. Do you like it or no? Is that the appropriate place? And is this going to help the census question issue all in one big lump sum with the bow on top and the cherry? Got to take a break. This is The Voice of Reason.
Now
The latest news from the Big Talker, KQAM.
New Orleans is expected to get several inches of rain in a short period of time from Tropical Storm Barry when it arrives over the city as an anticipated hurricane Saturday. The airport director, however, is ruling out one potential shelter.
The airport is not a public shelter during storm events. If airlines shut down operations, the terminal will be evacuated. There will be no food or retail services open for the public.
Gulf Coast states could see as much as 20 inches of rain and dangerous flooding. Former Attorney General Jeff Sessions is among the 12 subpoenaed to appear before the House Judiciary Committee looking into potential obstruction of justice. Congresswoman Debbie Lesko.
I am absolutely disgusted by the obsession that is going on here of trying to undermine the President of the United States.
On Wall Street, stocks have fallen from record highs earlier in the session, but the Dow was still up about 140 points. I'm Mike Moss.
You do it right to find the best deals around. Lowe's is here to help with savings throughout the store. Shop Cobalt Tool Days and take advantage of great values on tools and accessories, like $70 off a Cobalt 24-volt max variable speed brushless cordless impact driver, now $99. Thinking of updating your bath? Save during our kitchen and bath event with up to 40% off select bath essentials, including vanities, faucets, shower heads, and more. Whatever's on your to-do list, do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Offers valid through 7/17, U.S. only.
At CarMax, when we say we buy all the cars, we mean it. Over the last 20 years, we've purchased millions of cars from coast to coast. In the last year alone, we've bought a mountain of Mercurys, an armada of Nissans, a ton of Titans, an ocean of Pacificas, and a sea of Siennas. Not to mention a few Hellcats and a couple of Tornadoes. So no matter what you're selling, CarMax is buying. And we'll buy your car even if you don't buy ours. CarMax, we buy all the cars.
Business.
Mid-America Network News. The former top administrator of Kansas Juvenile Correction Facility, accused of grabbing and shoving a female worker, has pled no contest to a misdemeanor disorderly conduct charge. The Topeka Capital Journal reports that Kyle Rohr entered the plea in Shawnee County District Court to bring an end to the criminal case. Rohr had been found guilty last year of battery by a municipal court, but appealed to the district court for a jury trial. That trial began this week. The police chief in Kansas City, Kansas, plans to retire September 11th after 4.5 years on the job, amid questions about his conduct and a lawsuit over an officer's alleged sexual assault. Chief Terry Ziegler announced his plans on social media yesterday. The Kansas Bureau of Investigation this year examined whether Ziegler double-dipped by taking time off to work on a house that he leased from the local government. I'm Stephanie Austin.
The ultimate golf experience is at Willow Bend Golf Club in Wichita. Our people make the difference, and you can tell when you look over the course. With single-member packages available, young executive memberships, collegiate memberships, and student memberships, we truly offer something for everyone. Willow Bend Golf Club, a private club with a personal touch. Call today about becoming a member at 316-636-4653. That's 316-636-GOLF, or go online to willowbendgolfclub.com.
This moment of peacefulness is brought to you by Rusty Eck Ford.
Price sells cars at Rusty Eck Ford. Now at Rusty Eck, you can get a discount of $2,000 off every Ford F-150 in stock, and you keep the rebates up to over $6,200. That's over $8,200 in discounts and rebates. Plus, we'll throw in a new Green Mountain Grill with built-in Wi-Fi when you buy.
Save thousands on an F-150 and get a Green Mountain Grill?
You bet. Your choice of a Davy Crockett smoker or a Daniel Boone smoker for your summer fun.
And don't forget about our award-winning service.
See what's going on at rustyeckford.com.
All rebates to dealer cannot be combined, plus tax and fees. Discounts from MSRP. Offer expires 7/30/19.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker, KQAM. Sunny today, a little breezy at times, high today of 87. Mostly clear tonight with an overnight low of 67. Sunny tomorrow, high near 89 with light winds. Tomorrow night, clear and 67. Saturday, sunny with a high near 91. I'm Rich Summers, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM, KQAM.
at 135. It's currently 85 degrees.
Join John Wright for the news each morning 6 to 8, right here on the Big Talker, KQAM. Making Kansas great again.
A new tide of optimism was already sweeping across our land. Each day since, we have gone forward with a clear vision and a righteous mission to make America great again for all Americans.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Welcome in. Wrapping up the show today. 35 minutes past the hour here on The Voice of Reason. Open lines to you at 316-721-8255. 316-721-TALK on the Shocker Pools hotlines. This half hour of the broadcast is brought to you by Wildwood Cellars. It's more than just buying that bottle of wine, but you can learn about tips and tricks to find the wine that you like, not the wine you're supposed to like, which there is a difference there. Sometimes you like that sweet or that really dry or that sangria or that peach or that jalapeno or that whatever flavored elderberry wine that you may like. Also, the mead's made with the honey instead of the sugar, so it's healthy and good for you. Talk about it, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Make sure to check them out. Nationally acclaimed vineyards right here in the state of Kansas. Support local. That's what it's all about. It's Wildwood Cellars off the Turnpike in Mulvane or right here in Wichita, Maple and Ridge. Online at wildwoodcellars.com. Again, wildwoodcellars.com. I am absolutely loving watching Fox News right now. If you're not watching, then you need to turn it on. It's kind of funny as they go on about the Nancy Pelosi and AOC debacle, and AOC going after now Nancy Pelosi for calling her a racist. It's hysterical. It's really funny because now, hey, guess what, Nancy Pelosi? You now get to feel, because with the firing squad within the Democrat side, you now get to feel what it's like to be called a racist when it's unsubstantiated, when it's just out of the blue and you have no idea what they're talking about and you never even cross that path in any way, shape, or form, and now all of a sudden you're getting accused of racism. Welcome, what as John McClane would say, welcome to the party, pal. Because that's what we go through every day, right? We say, oh, I don't want social programs. Racist, how dare you not like it? I want voter IDs. Racist. But minorities don't have voter IDs. They don't have IDs. They don't have any driver's licenses. What are you talking about? We get accused of it every single day. Just by being who we are and saying what we say and believing in individualism rather than the groupthink collective thought process. Now, Nancy Pelosi. Look, this is the firing squad that is taking a beating on the Democrats. And let me tell you something. Nancy Pelosi is absolutely livid with this because AOC is out of her hands, out of her control, and she gets to do whatever she wants to. She feels like she's popular with this nice little Twitter following that she has, and people are saying, oh, we love socialism, yay, we're going to turn the state reds, yay. And she's out of control. Nancy Pelosi is now running the daycare that has kids going absolute bonkers. She has kids in her daycare that are now going out of their way trying to bully even the daycare worker, and they don't know how to handle it because they've never dealt with this before. The Democrats are losing their minds. Now, I told you weeks before that the accusations that they made on the stage with Kamala Harris and Joe Biden for being a racist, that's really showing the true colors of the Democrat Party. Because the Democrats obviously historically have been the ones for racism, for segregation, for the Jim Crow laws, for keeping people down based on minorities, doing the groupthink mentality. You're not you. You're part of the black community. You're part of the LGBTQ community. You're part of the Native American community. They've already been this whole collective thing. So now people of their own party calling them out on those things, which this is a very good example of that because Nancy Pelosi didn't say anything racist. She just said there's 4 people in the House that are doing their own thing and they're nuts and they're not part of us because they're going against the grain and they're not working with us and they're independent. They're doing their own deal. And because of that, now she's a racist because she's attacking women of color. And women of color, of course, now with AOC being Hispanic, Ilhan Omar, Tlaib Shalib, or whatever her name is. Tlaib Shalib. I like that name. We're going to stick with that. Tlaib Shalib. Rashida Tlaib. Whatever. She's both of them. I mean, they're both Muslim. And, yeah, it's all women of color. It's not that they're in their own party, and it's not that they just have bad ideas and voting the wrong way. They're women of color, and therefore Nancy Pelosi is a racist. So, Nancy, welcome to the party. You now get unsubstantiated accusations of being racist. Nancy Pelosi just apparently made a a response and going out there and trying to be all happy. But you know her. She is angry. She is bitter. She is the John McCain in drag, and she's going to do whatever it takes for her to go against them. I said it yesterday. Here's again my prediction of the day.
Andy's predictions.
My prediction, thank you, is the fact that they are going to be primaried out from Nancy Pelosi, hyping up some different candidates in those districts to try and run them out of town because she is angry and this is the final straw. She's never had to argue with somebody like this from her own party. Ever. Which brings me to the next point, as Donald Trump is about to, and if he does it within the next half hour, we'll broadcast it live here on the air as he goes to the Rose Garden to actually do his executive order announcement. I don't know if he will or not. They teased and said that he's about ready to at some point, so if he does, we'll broadcast it here on the radio live for you. But as we go into the idea of the executive order for the citizenship question on the census, this is the same time we have an epidemic down at the border. We have a crisis at the border that we're trying to address in AOC, as she is now apparently we're going to address her as the spokeswoman for the Democrat Party.
Today.
No, let's try this one here. There we go.
Now time for the Crazy Cortez Corner.
Yeah, there we go. So now AOC, the new spokeswoman for the Democrat Party and the progressive movement, has now said that she's willing to get rid of the entire Department of Homeland Security because ICE is under their agency.
ICE is not under DOJ. It's under the Department of Homeland Security. And so we have now...
Would you get rid of Homeland Security too?
I think so. I think we need to undo a lot of the egregious mistakes that the Bush administration did. I feel like we are at it is a very qualified and supported position, at least in terms of evidence and in terms of being able to make the argument that we never should have created DHS in the early 2000s.
Now, it's a really interesting position to take. Now, I don't know why she's such a popular person to interview. I don't know why she's such a popular person to follow, because she's not bright in any way, shape, or form. She's actually one of the least bright people in Washington, D.C., and that's saying something with a whole laundry list of politicians. But with a comment like that, it brings up an interesting point, because now I'm going to say this with a very narrow angle. She's almost correct. Now, again, a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while, so maybe this is one of those. But Department of Homeland Security, it wasn't founded until 2001. We've gone through wars. We've gone through security issues. We've gone through other, if you remember, I mean, that's obviously before we did the other ICE raids that we had done in the past with other administrations. We've done Homeland Security issues in other ways, except for not having the actual Department of Homeland Security. We've done it through the CIA. We've done it through the FBI. We've done it through the military. We've done it through the Department of Justice. We've gone it through many other agencies that actually work for the security of the nation. Are we as conservatives open to actually shutting down the Department of Homeland Security? It was very controversial when President George W. Bush did it after 9/11. And it was signed, obviously, by Congress and yada, yada. But we created, for us conservatives who are about limited government, that was the new agency that came on board. New spending that happened. And as a now, I mean, obviously, we understand also as conservatives that the number one duty of the government is to have protection and safety for the nation, and is to have protection based on national security, based on foreign policy, based on immigration control. Yes, controlling the immigration in the nation, not just having open borders. So we do have those, and we need to make those priority, but it doesn't need to be done through the Department of Homeland Security. I'd be curious to get your thoughts on this. Because as it was controversial when George W. Bush did pass this, at the same time with the Patriot Act and the censorship of individuals and monitoring their cell phones, monitoring their text messages, monitoring their emails, having surveillance on private citizens, many conservatives and libertarians were saying, we don't like the Patriot Act, we don't want the Patriot Act, and that was a side with the Department of Homeland Security, and they're the ones that do a lot of that. So as we want safety and security in the nation, do you really need to have it through the Department of Homeland Security? She wants to do it based solely on the fact that ICE is through there. It's not through the Department of Justice, and ICE is funded through the Department of Homeland Security. And therefore, let's just wipe out that whole agency so that way we can get rid of ICE, because that's her main objective, which is a really dumb idea. I said this a year ago at the rally, but how many Tide Pods do you have to eat to actually believe it's a good idea to abolish ICE? Which is funny because that's the only quote that the Wichita Eagle actually quoted from me during that rally to pro-law enforcement and pro-ICE. But it's still equivalent today. It still matters. Why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense. We still need ICE, but why do we need to have it through the Department of Homeland Security? So I'd be open to you, 316-721-8255. 316-721, talking to you. Do you like or at least want to hear an idea about abolishing the Department of Homeland Security, not for the sake of abolishing ICE, but to move ICE and other necessities out of there to other branches of government, consolidate things a little bit, and to get rid of some funding from the federal government in an agency that is not that terribly old, and we can still have security on our home front for the nation without a new agency that George W. Bush put into place? It's an idea. It's a thought. Now, TSA, I believe, is underneath that as well. We could move that a little bit. We could tweak TSA a little bit. It wasn't as intense as what it was before 9/11. But the Patriot Act, the censorship, the security measures, the heightened security measures that we look forward to and that we're concerned about in the nation, that's all important. Can we do it without the Department of Homeland Security? She, again, not doing it for the right reasons, but maybe she stumbled upon something where we could all come to agreement of, saying, hey, maybe we could downsize the size of government just a teeny tiny bit. Just a teeny tiny bit. We'll get your thoughts on that when we come back. 47 minutes past the hour. Wrapping up the show today. One more segment when we come back. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Mostly higher than livestock, higher in the grains, wrapping up Thursday that way. Let's check the ag futures markets. Brett Trotz at Schwieterman Incorporated has the information. Good afternoon, Brett.
Good afternoon. Well, we ended up seeing quite a few gains in agriculture today. August live cattle up 25 at 107.87. October up 35 at 109.32. In the feeder cattle, August up 27 at 142.62. October up 60 at 143.42. And then in the hog market, not quite so good. July down 15 at 71.60. October down $1.65 at 71.60. In the grain markets, though, pretty big gains. September Kansas City wheat up 20 cents at 461.5. December up 18 3/4 at 481 1/4. In Chicago, the September wheat up 16 3/4 at 521.5. December up 16 at 532 3/4. September corn up 9 1/4 at 444 1/4. December up 8 1/2 at 448. September soybeans up 4 3/4 at 905. November up 4 1/2 at 917 1/4. And then December oats up 5 1/4 at 280 3/4. December cotton down 71 points at 63.11. August crude oil down 13 cents at 60.30. August natural gas down 3.5 cents at 241. August gold down 470 at 1407.80. December silver down 8 cents at 1526. We got the December dollar index down 1 point at 96.69, and the September Dow Jones futures up 133 at 26,993. And for information on these and the other markets, please call us at Schwieterman Incorporated, 1-800-272-9131.
Hi, it's Joe Pags coming up. A female journalist is told to bring a male colleague if she wants to follow a campaign. Does that make sense? Plus, OMG AOC, she wants to get rid of the Department of Homeland Security and campus reform on The Joe Pags Show. Today at 5 on the Big Talker, 1480 AM and 102.5 FM, KQAM.
The Joe Pags Show, weekdays at 5 on the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM.
In spite of the cost of farming, it's still popular. Abilene Machine helps make it even more popular by offering thousands of the high-quality agricultural parts for tractors, combines, headers, and more at prices you can afford. Their Q Power belts are an example. Tested, tough. Just by looking at them, you can see the difference. Need draper belts? Abilene Machine has got a great selection of draper belts at significantly lower prices than OEM. Call 1-800-255-0337 or visit AbileneMachine.com.
You make a million tough business decisions every day. So here's the easiest one of the year. Dell's Black Friday in July is back and bigger than ever. Get no-brainer deals on the very latest computers with Intel Core processors and a huge selection of servers, electronics, and more, all with free shipping on everything. To make your decision even easier, Dell's small business technology advisors can help you find just the right tech. Call 877-BUY-DELL. That's an easy call to make at 877-BUY-DELL or visit Dell.com/smallbusiness.
It's Mary from Wildwood Cellars. Our pure elderberry concentrate is especially popular this time of the year, and people ask us what makes ours so much better than the rest, and I have to say it's how we make it, so that none of the good properties of the elderberries are ever lost. Nothing is ever dehydrated, and we add nothing to it. No sugars, syrups, alcohols, additives, or preservatives, just pure concentrated elderberry with less than 1 gram of carb or sugar, so you can take it straight or add it to any juice or drink of your choice. Online at wildwoodcellars.com.
Alex Jones, Sunday evenings 5 to 7 on the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM, KQAM.
Welcome into the show. 9 minutes at the top of the hour as we wrap up the show today on a Thursday, pre-Friday celebration, moving right along, doing the thing. We still have yet to see. I'm waiting for the news on whether Donald Trump is going to be announcing here soon the officialness of the executive order putting the census, the citizenship question on the census. That'll be really interesting to see whether it happens or not. The other news, of course, is this one, hat tip to CNN on the web, the interweb. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement plans to begin the previously postponed raids across the country starting Sunday to arrest thousands of family members of undocumented immigrants who already have court orders to be removed, according to the U.S. officials. I'm glad they clarified here, because there are many that are going to say, well, you know, people are pending court dates or people that are waiting for their approval or application or whatever. So they're in the middle there. They're kind of on the line and we don't know what's going on. It's going to be trouble. And you know they're going to come back into court and they're going to get in trouble and that they're going to be blaming ICE and how everybody hates people with brown skin. It's all going to be this racist argument. And they're going to try and go after the best way they can. But if they truly do clarify and say these people have already have court orders to be removed, they haven't done so yet because the process is really long and because people hide and like run in the shadows and run away because they're trying to be here when they're not supposed to be here, then you know what? All the power to you. Round up, arrest individuals, ship them on the plane, and send them back. CNN continues, the effort comes weeks after President Donald Trump had tweeted ISIS planned to conduct raids and to delay the operation for additional details to become public. The president, adamant on doubling down on illegal immigration, has repeatedly tweeted about the impending operation, a striking move given that operations are not announced ahead of time. I like the idea of the announcement just for the publicity part of this. I don't know that I necessarily like if they announce where this is going to happen. Hey, we're going to announce in Wichita, Kansas. We're going to round up illegal aliens in Wichita, Kansas, starting on Sunday around 11:15. I hope they don't do that. That's kind of like the presidency. When an attack happens, 9/11 happens, and you're like, I really don't want to know where the president is. As long as we know he's safe, I don't want to know that he's hidden somewhere or where he's hiding if they try to attack him or something. And there's always, of course, then the media that's like, we have the right to know. And they go after him from that sense. But people are, of course, going to lose their minds over the ICE raids, and I think this is way past due. I don't know why we delayed it for the 2 weeks. I know they were working on some details. He had said that it was for a negotiation of a potential compromise bill on immigration, and that obviously didn't happen because the only thing we got out of it was a $4.6 billion humanitarian bill that did nothing for border security, but just sent more money down to take care of people that we should have closed the door on and said, sorry, we can't accept your take anymore because we're full. We can't do it anymore. And yet now we just spent $5 billion on more money to go down there and take care of that. So that's the only thing we got through. Is that what we were waiting on? And if so, then that kind of goes against the whole narrative of saying we're going to crack down on immigration, but yet we're going to spend more money on quote-unquote humanitarian relief. On Monday next week, we are going to get on Congressman Ron Estes because he did support that bill for the humanitarian thing, and I'm curious about the details of it. Maybe there's more to it for security measures that we're not seeing, but just to send it down for humanitarian stuff, I am not in favor of it all. I think it should be not like inhumane to be in a quote-unquote detention center, but it shouldn't be comfortable at all. Just like we played the clip from Candace Owens yesterday or a couple of days ago about the volleyball courts and the Zumba classes and the nice arts and crafts that they get to do and how cute and wonderful it is. And that should not be how detention centers are for illegal immigrants, whether it's children or adults. That should not be. It should be the most kind of like social programs in the country. Should be painful. It should be terrible, and it should be so bad that you second guess, do I really want to go through this, or do I want to just hold off and actually find some other alternatives? That really should be how we actually run, but that's not how we're operating. So now we spend money on individuals like that when we're trying to figure out our own debts and our own issues here in the nation. So we have some work to do, but I think this is going to be great. Now, I don't know how many people are planning on getting raided and how many people are going to be involved in this raid starting this weekend. And I don't know if we're talking hundreds of people and then say, oh, we did it, or if it's going to be multiple thousands of people and saying, wow, look at that. Boy, they really stepped up their game on that one. And as we get the discussion here in Wichita about possibly being a quote-unquote sanctuary city or a sanctuary county, and our state legislator, Cheryl Helmer, that said that, and the mayor, that of course, came out and said, no, that's not true. We don't try and protect those individuals. And as we talked about the kind of conflicting laws that by default we are, but we're not necessarily, so both of them are right in their own sense to some degree, I wonder how much of this will be influencing the state of Kansas and right here in Wichita. Is this going to affect maybe, what's going on economically here in Kansas? We're already struggling in Kansas, so it's not like we can say, hey, there's a whole bunch of jobs opening up now. We're already struggling in Kansas compared to the rest of the nation. But we do have, by the way, the ICE detention centers here in Wichita as well. So will we see some type of effect? Will we come back on Monday and see the news headlines of, oh, wow, look at that. The ICE raids happened. Wichita got cleaned out, baby. Because some organizations, political organizations in the area will be fighting this tooth and nail. They'll be doing what they can to harbor certain individuals so that way they can't be found. And will this be a cat and mouse chase? And by the way, if you do have a cat and mouse chase, then is that violating federal law as well? Because then you're running from a law enforcement agent. I mean, you already are as an illegal immigrant, but if you're going to take it to the next level as like a person who's like doing a car chase down the highway, and then you get accused and you get put on there with the nice little ticket of trying to flee from law enforcement, is that what we can go after if we start trying to harbor? Because you know what's going to happen. Law enforcement locally in San Diego or in San Francisco or in the state of Washington or other places, they're going to be trying to harbor these individuals, even red states like Ohio. They're going to be like, we love dreamers. We love people illegal. We're going to take care of them. And then it's going to be a legal battle between the state and the federal government. On the good front, on the positive note with this, we get to have another constitutional challenge of what's called federalism. And then we get to decide who actually has complete control on immigration, whether it's the states making their own laws with the sanctuary cities or the sanctuary states that they want to openly choose to be, or whether the federal government actually gets to decide on immigration as what the Constitution really says. So when they do start this in the states or the cities or the counties or the law enforcement agencies locally try and fight this and try and harbor and try and start a lawsuit against the ICE raids, we get to decide on where federalism actually lands on the case of immigration and immigration enforcement, and whether it's the state's rights or the federal government's rights to begin to enforce those types of issues. So, you know what? On a positive note, we get to have another constitutional battle and show where the powers lay at the end of the day and where those limitations actually are from states and the federal government. So you know what? I'm looking on the positive side. I'm the eternal optimist. It's what I do. This is your show. It's time to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason, baby. We got Friday tomorrow. Big show coming up tomorrow as we have our first mayor candidate coming on the show, along with some other goodies. Stay tuned in for that right here on The Voice of Reason. Everybody have a great day.
Speak. If you wear eyeglasses or just getting your first pair, did you know there's an eyewear shop that has 45 years of experience? Kent and Roxy Spectacle Shop has been framing faces for over 4 decades. The Spectacle Shop has hundreds of frames, including the exciting exclusive lines of Woo, Roger, and LA Eyeworks, and the State brand made right here in the USA. Your lenses? Kent and Roxy take seriously the quality and precision of your corrected eyesight. Be independent, take a bold step for optical freedom. Come see the difference for yourself. Visit Kent and Roxy Spectacle Shop, 306 North Rock Road, Wichita.
Hurry into the Ford Hurry Up and Save sales event and get 20% estimated savings on select Ford SUVs. Plus, earn complimentary maintenance through Ford Pass Rewards. Modem must be activated within 60 days of purchase through the Ford Pass app on a smartphone and remain active for at least 6 months after activation. Eligible on select 2019 model year vehicles. Vehicle must have arrived at dealer at least 61 days prior to the sale date. Estimated savings include an average dealer discount based on a sales survey of average discounts offered by Ford dealers nationally. Discount may vary. Dealer determines price. For all offers, take new retail delivery from an authorized Ford dealer stock by 9/3/19. See participating dealer for complete details.
This is a Steckline Communication Station, K273CX FM 102.5 and AM 1480 KQAM, Wichita Proud. It's time for your latest news from the KQAM News Center. Brought to you by Phil's Coins, Kansas's largest coin dealer at 9344 West Central. Phil's Coins, buying, selling, and trading with honesty and integrity.
Police are searching for a man accused of exposing himself to a female employee at a business in East Wichita. KWCH reports the incident happened on Friday, June 28th around 3 p.m. in the 2300 block of East Douglas. Police say the man is described as a black male in his mid-20s, standing 5'3", weighing about 130 pounds. Anyone with information about this incident is asked to contact authorities. Some drivers